All right. Hey, we good?
Oh, hello, Wooly. How are you?
All right. My throat is a little raspy and sore.
You must be pretty tired after winning Evo.
Yeah,
I
man.
didn't follow the grand finals, so I just assumed that's what happened.
It was a hell of a grand finals, and I was playing all day, so I am super exhausted. But it was worth it. But either way, I'm gonna need to
Congratulations,
recoup.
man.
Thank you very much. I switched to Ken,
Yeah.
and I made it do what it do.
Hey, I got a question. All joking aside, who actually fucking won Evo? I didn't.
Angry Bird, the fucking
Angry Bird.
beast. Yeah.
Who is he
It's
playing?
Ken.
What?
So
Get the fuck out of what? Really? Ken? Ken
and
won it? Oh, I can't believe it. What? Oh my god.
yeah, man. So the thing is like that was one of those situations though where as the character is is like a current fucking hurdle and a bane on a constant level when I come across him. In fact, I lost to two Kens in my
Oh.
bracket, and that's just been the story of it. But like in particular, the way that it shaped up with that grand finals, I was happy either way because I was rooting for Angry Bird or Big Bird to make it all the way. Right, Big Bird
Wait,
is like
it was really Angry Bird versus Big Bird.
no. So Angry Bird and Big Bird are like the birds. They're like basically the UAE players that so they've been kind of killing it for a while now, and like it's just they're awesome to follow. I love the way they play. I love their shit. Big Bird has kind of like been killing it with Marissa, and has been like
Hmm.
pushing the tech and showing off like what that character can do. And Angry Bird, who he plays with their training partners and such, and they've been just grinding it together, and he does that with Ken, and they play on such a fucking super high level. They're incredible with it that
Hmm.
like when they fight, it's kind of like basically Big Bird fought Angry Bird round one of the Red Bull tournament that happened a while ago, and then
Right.
they both were kind of like, well, if you win, you're gonna win the whole thing. If I win, I'm gonna win the whole thing. That's how
Ah.
this is gonna go. And so they fought each other round one, and Big Bird beat him, and then Big Bird won that. And so this time around now, Angry Bird went all the way in at Evo. So just like the story of the birds is fucking sick, and the fact
He
that
was
they're able.
fighting Menard.
He's fighting Mena RD. Yes.
Mena RD.
Yeah.
Oh, that fucks me up because Menard's a real name that people have.
Right, but the RD is Dominican Republic, right? So
Oh, wait,
that's
RD is Dominican Republic.
so the. I mean, I think it's like Republica Dominican, like in reverse based on how you
Oh,
say
okay.
it.
Oh, that makes much more sense.
But it's not Menard. It's Mena RD, and yeah, but like the whole bit with like the birds is like they're also kind of like able to get that strong in an environment where it's like it's pretty much just them, right? There's like not a ton. There's a community as far as I understand, but like there's not a ton of other known players from the UAE. So you kind of have like a little bit of an Arslan Ash situation of like they're getting that good in a small environment on their own, and then just kind of like being able to play other people when they can, and having good online of course makes a huge difference. But it's super sick to see that, like out of a
I
pocket
saw
comes
I saw
that level of
Arslan
skill.
one again.
Yeah, man. I mean, what a like it's just beasts,
Don't
so
even
like
don't even go.
Middle Eastern players on the fucking rise, just killing it, man. And yeah, so like even though he played Ken, I was like, I wanted like I had the birds as my picks, like going through this because they're super fun to watch play, and they're
Hmm.
great. And yeah, and having talked a little bit on Twitter before, but getting to meet in person as well and catch up and talk and be like, "Oh, what's up, guys?" and everything was very chill. But at the same time, having Mena just rock Blanca in grand finals is a spiritually satisfying thing that is so fucking sick to watch. And I love the character play. I love the way everyone reacts to it, and I love the look on everyone's face as they have to come to terms with something that they don't want to come to terms with, right? The idea of what Blanca is and has been for the last couple decades, and now you have to face and swallow a really hard to swallow pill, which is this is the most technical character in the game, and whatever fucking memes you're going off on are bullshit at this point, because before it was I could do whatever a Blanca player can do, fuck those guys, we don't fuck with them. And now it's like you can't do shit. You cannot do any of those setups. You cannot play this character, right? You have to acknowledge that shit. It's the most technical. It's not, you know, from being beneath.
It is back to the nightmare that is CVS 2, where Blanca
he's beneath me is the energy that everyone likes to fucking hold on to. Well, now what? Now what? Do that shit. Show me.
I have to say, maybe I'm just like a salty baby, stupid shit fuck, but the finals being Ken versus Blanca is, like, in my opinion, the worst outcome for all humans, because like Ken was already like Ken is got like that Sub-Zero thing going on where it's like half of all people are playing Ken, and it's going to be even worse now. And now, like, regular non-freak humans are going to see that Blanca got to the grand finals and, like, go, oh, maybe I'll play Blanca. And that will create more Blanca players.
But that's not true. And that's the thing is, when it comes to... it depends on the way the character is played. It depends on what's going on. Mena also killed it with Birdie back in Street Fighter V. And that didn't make an explosion of Birdie players really happen, right?
Yeah, you're right.
There are these things over time. Sometimes you'll have these moments where, like someone, Makoto, right, pops up on stream in like Super Street Fighter, and then you see a huge influx of people jumping into the Makoto boards on shoryuken.com, like, oh, whoa, what's going on with this character, right? And there's always a moment where a character getting into top 8 on stream is going to like increase the popularity of people checking them out. Like, just that's the nature of it. But by relative comparison, for what you'd expect, like it didn't happen then, and I don't suspect it's going to happen much more now. But there's definitely going to be people going to lab and figure out how to deal with that and want to know what's going on, because obviously it's strong. And then character representation in general was kind of surprising because, you know, I was looking at like a chart of like the top 96 players and how many of each character made it, and like despite what you'd expect, I mean, Ken obviously a whole lot of them. JP coming in second, a ton of JPs.
Also unshocking.
But then like not as much Jury as you'd expect. You know,
I expected to see Cammy and Jury like all over that place, and they were not
right. And Luke as well, who Mena also was playing, which is like Luke is Japan considers Luke to be the best character in the game, right? You know, by their metric for like overall ability. But like, yeah, you didn't see as many in that situation as well. It was really just a JP and kind of Ken game. So all this, and even, you know, Marissa's as well. Like Marissa was, you know, not like there was a couple, but here and there, they just some placed high. Of course, Shuto was a Japanese Marissa player that got pretty high as well. But all this to say that, yeah, it's I don't suspect people are gonna suddenly just, you know, start rocking a Pocket Blanca that aggressively.
I hope not. That would be just the. So you know what actually shocked me the most? I saw that chart you were talking about.
Okay.
0 Hondas. 0.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
like, maybe I'm a scrub, but like when I mess with Honda and I play with Honda's buttons, I'm like, there's just a lot of good things about this character that seem to work really well.
But it's just the difference between like the high level competitive play and the things that work at a basic level. It just doesn't apply once you're dealing with people that have labbed solutions to what your gimmicks are, right?
I believe that, because Zangief is assuredly worse than Honda, and there was a Zangief in that top 96.
there you can steal rounds with like making hard reads, getting lucky.
That's not a steal. They're doing a good job. They're doing a great job. They're working hard.
Absolutely, right. But overall, what determines things is bending the odds in your favor, right? And so a character like Lily, for example, has a very simple but good game plan, which is like she can win clad, and that makes her ability to get in on you create a mix-up, a 50-50. It's just like, I make you block the spire, and then you have to do something, or you have to guess, right? And that seems like it would work right all the way across the board, but the better players get, the more they find ways to just not have to deal with that. And the more they find ways to, overall, like, even if you do get put into that situation, the rest of what the character is doing is not that scary anymore. So if your best thing is still a predictable thing, like if you don't have any other facets to mix it up with to create a more complex approach, a top player is going to beat you every time, and so that's kind of what it comes down to, is like the best characters have a variety of things they can kind of do to cover their approach, and they have a widespread tool, or they have like an insane, sometimes you'll have like one insane ability. So like again, Marissa's damage is incredible.
I saw a fantastic video that was, how come Marissa doesn't have any truly awful matchups? And it was because she is one hit away from doing this.
That's it.
And it was her hitting her back hard punch,
back heavy punch,
and doing 70%.
Yep, up, down.
And it was like, the back hard punch into a dash, into the back hard punch, into the back hard punch.
That's not even
into all of her stupid shit.
That's a suboptimal combo as well. That's like that's weaker.
Yeah, I know, but like, it's also brain dead. I can do it. I've done it, and it's like, wow, this is brain dead as shit.
So what ends up happening is you play around trying to land that, and then everyone's like, all right, I know you're trying to land that, and you have a character that's like, this is my game plan, I'm going to try to land that. If you neutral jump a lot of the shit that she's doing, people are like, kind of like, you're able to like land on top of her in a bunch of cases. You can jump in on her because her anti-airs are not fantastic compared to most of the cast. Yeah, anyway, I don't want to go into too in depth with it, but just the point is kind of like that one touch ability in the right situation will delete a round, and then and she'll spend her level 3 on it, and then like you're back to like, okay, how do I contain her in a box, and she has to kind of make a wild guess to like get in on you and then make that happen. And if that wild guess never happens, then she gets deleted, right? So it's just like, yeah, there's like a sort of an even keeled, tier list discussion at the moment of just like, yeah, she can always get that thing, but then there's and she'll feast or famine in her results. You know? When you die as her, you die hard.
Oh, I got that good hit. Yay. Oh, I didn't get that good hit. Oh.
And then there's characters who are like the complete opposite of that, right? And you don't see them as much because they take more work. But like Chun-Li, for example, who is a very well-rounded character that has a lot of good shit, also doesn't have any real like bad matchups per se. But that's because she just has like, she has a gun for every job. She has a tool for everything that she needs. It's a variety of skills covering a wide base. And like the better the player, the better they can switch to all the things they can do to handle the situation. So it's kind of interesting, because you have the same results, but one is more volatile, one is less volatile. And so if you want less of a dice roll, you pick a character like that. Yeah, man, Evo was fucking wild. It was awesome. Very, very cool. Just exciting to see how, the scope and everything is changed and increased. And, shout outs to Rick the Hado for the way he's running things and such. There's like a lot that's gotten better, and there's some stuff where I'm like, okay, I want that fixed. But overall, had a really good time in person. And for a lot of people who came, it was their first time as well, excited because they're playing Street Fighter 6 and getting into it for the first time, and all of that has led to the convention side of the tournament being equal in size to the tournament itself, right? There's so much you can do and spend your time.
Fighting Game Land.
Fighting Game Con happening right next to the bracket is a 3-day thing that you can absolutely throw yourself into. And to the point where, you know, the moment I have of just like, okay, player, content creator, right? That's there's a fork in the road, so to speak, you know, and excuse me, and that same decision I made to not, you know, start playing it early in order to be able to compete. Same thing. So Friday, I couldn't check out any of that stuff. I had to play my games, and then I was there with a bunch of other guys from Montreal. You know, Snafu, Chirithi, Fluxwaves, Reggie. We're all there competing, and like, so we watch. You got to support. You got to, you know, roll with the crew together, and everyone had some pretty crazy matches. I mean, Reggie fought Fudo in his pool, like as his like second game or so. You know,
how'd he do?
Yeah, well, he got Fudo'd. You know, but it was still that ends up taking up most of that Friday. You know, which means that would have been the time to go get hands on Project L, but like it that doesn't happen. You know, so then it's like, okay, maybe Saturday, but I have to decide between throwing half of Saturday at Project L or all the other shit and people that I've got to go see and stuff. So it, like, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to touch Project L, you know? So, you know, I watched a bunch of it, and I saw a lot of Yasuo who was announced as well. Very, very cool. And like, one of the best things there was like, there was an arcade that is a part of the event now that wasn't there before, where there's a MagFest style massive room of just like machines for everything, and they had a Project L arcade machine, you know. So there's the big line back in the dealer's area, and then there was like one machine set up with like 4 seats for 2 people to sit on each side, and there was a lineup for that one, of course, too. But watching it played in a cabinet environment was very, very cool.
Did you get to touch Mortal Kombat?
No, I didn't. Again, I kind of was like, I'm not going to line up. I'm not going to line up for anything, right? I'm going to try.
You know,
yeah,
it'll happen.
You remember,
like, Project L is free. Don't line up for it. It'll come to your house.
You remember what it was like when it was like, you're checking out like a PAX, exactly, and you're like, do I want to get 4 games that I really want to play out of this day, based on lining up for each one for hours, or do I want to, you know, touch more things, right? So,
and the answer was no, except for the Bloodborne booth over there.
So there you go. I mean, for me, I'm just like, yeah, that's all right. I'd rather see more things and do more and such, and you know, plus, and again, like, it's Fighting Game Con, so there's a ton of people that I recognize, and vice versa. Like, when I got to, like, the indie row was wild, because it was literally like 5 games straight up right there that were all games I've played on the channel and I've like done like promotion and like helped them out with and stuff, and so I'm like seeing everyone like, hey, yo, what's up? Just running down the row, you know. I'm like, okay, I got to get over to my pool because, you know, my boy's about to fight Daigo, but I'll be back, you know. And it's just, and like literally the entire row's like, yeah, okay, you know, stuff. So that's awesome, you know. And then the junk food setup was over there. They had the snack boxes.
A lot of people talking a lot of good stuff about junk food.
Yeah, man, they're killing it, you know. Saw them and you know, got to, yeah, just like went like, holy shit, I can't believe that sold out so quickly. That was amazing. The getting to fighting games and Wooly versus snack boxes just fucking flew. And then a bunch of people were lining up around to get the Evo ones that were like, you know, to bring them to the signing later and stuff. So like, they sold some more like extras in that context as well. And so I tried out the new thing they're working on, the Whirl, which is like it's like a snack box, but it has like the keyboard sort of layout, the WASD button, and then it has like thumbsticks for like if you want to play other types of games as well. So they've got like all kinds of cool stuff going, but it's super dope to see how that's coming along. And you know, especially considering I was telling them, like, it's really easy when the thing is good. When the stick is good, it's very easy to be like, yo, get this good stick. It's light, travels easy, you can customize it.
Advertising is incredibly easy when it's good. Like, they paid me to play Double Dragon last week, and I'm like, okay.
That's it, you know?
Sure.
And then
Who's gonna stream it anyway?
and it doesn't helps. Well, it doesn't hurt as well that like I guess anyone who also knows about like so the hitbox side of things, when Hitbox tried to fucking sue them over the layout of a leverless stick, it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing, man? This is a small
trying
community.
to fucking own this new gimmick, bro.
This is a small community.
Copyright.
We all are trying to help each other, and like the idea of just trying to Ouroboros any of that shit is so stupid considering how limited of a group we are. So that was just a bad look across the board. So people were also like, yeah, fuck that. That sucks, you know?
I have a bit of a strange question to ask you about Evolution, the fighting game tournament. How do you feel about the new trend, or if not the new trend, but the more popular trend this year, of players walking up to their matches and masturbating the entire time they're playing their sets? Oh, you didn't see this?
Okay, so something very important to get across is when you're at Evo, you're in it and on the show floor, and there's a lot that happens on stream that you're not aware of. So you guys at home are finding out more on a regular basis than the people that are there, because you're getting the consolidation being online, and we're just seeing what we're seeing in front of us. And someone goes, "Oh my God, yo, check this tweet. What's up?" But
what I'm referring to is there are a bunch of players that were like, "I don't want anyone to see my stick." So they were walking up, sitting down, throwing their stick down, and then throwing a blanket over their entire lap.
Oh, yeah.
And then
the box. Yeah.
Just furiously beating it.
Yeah, okay. Jesus Christ, man. I was like...
It looks real bad on stream,
Okay. For a second, I was like... What the fucking Smash Brothers are we talking about? What? No, okay, all right, yes, the stick hiding tech.
It looks real bad.
Well, that's not new, first of all, because if you go back a couple years, you'll see Mad KOF. Shoutouts to Mad KOF, a KOF player back in the day who would have an entire curtain set up for the stick that would like be at the right height for the seated chip play, and it was like it had like branding on it and everything. It was like detailed, but it was a curtain to hide stick inputs, right? And the hilarious thing about that is tons of people, especially people who grew up playing Western arcade style machines and not the Japanese style where you face each other, are instinctively used to reacting to people pumping or churning butter or doing something on Wake Up. And it's like, sometimes people listen to inputs. Listening to inputs is a thing, and they talk about it. And it's like, you shouldn't technically be doing that, but it's instinctual for some people. And at the same time, to counter that, fake buttons became a part of the strategy. So people would do, like, Wake Up nothing, but they start pumping, right? Or, like, they'll use there's new arcade sticks like the Cross Up, where it's like you have a fake button that's just a directional button. And you could do, like, quarter circle forward, fake button. And then nothing comes up.
You can't stop people from being physically present next to the person they're fighting.
And I remember, like, when we had some of the arcade players from the old school arcade I used to play at that came out to play at some of the new locals, they would do things like that. They would pump and do fake motions, and people were like, what the fuck is this tech? And it's just like, yeah, that's old arcade tech. You want to keep your corner? You make people react to nothing, right? So that's one way. Or you hide
Evo
your hands
the way
and use
StarCraft runs their tournaments with the box.
Yeah. It's hilarious, man. I mean, even if you put headphones on, you can still hear taps, hear inputs.
Oh, yeah. You can see the
out of the corner
arms
of your eye, you see the person
Yeah.
next to you doing things, right?
Snake Eyes plays controller. Never mind.
Yeah.
But the Zangief
The
player
Alex
next to me
Valle.
is just churning butter real bad.
And it's something that, like, it's a bad habit. If you do it, you shouldn't. But, like, it is ingrained. Your brain will absolutely just, like, instinctually sometimes just, like, recognize emotion that someone's body language is giving away, So yeah, no, hiding the tech or so. I think it's hilarious. I think obviously most players just deal with it and are just like, yeah, well, if that shouldn't be a determining factor in whether you win or lose. But when it's Evo, I mean, everything is a determining factor, right?
Hmm.
Talking to a lot of players about this, like one of the things you'll hear often is a tournament like this is not a. It doesn't determine who the best player is. It determines
Hmm.
who's the best on that day, right? There's your best of like that you're consistently at, but the way you feel, the amount of jet lag you have, how you like, there's a million factors that can choose how your play is gonna go, how well rested and so on you are, and then there's just like the part where it's not a round robin 7,000 person tournament. You don't fight everybody and see what happens.
Hmm.
You kind of there's randomness to it, so yeah, it's there's it's the best of
I
how
I don't
you
know,
feel
man.
that day.
You're completely right about that part, but I feel like that is like ingrained and somewhat obvious for every competition that's ever existed in the history of anything.
Hmm.
Like you can't control the events for
No, but
Joey New Jersey's mom died last night
of
before his
course,
Evo,
right?
you know.
Or Chris Tatarian's car got stolen
Oh,
the
that's
morning of, or a whole bunch of Japanese players or had a flight where the engine needed to be fixed before they could take off, so they had to like fucking scramble to get there just in time for their pool to start because delaying a flight from Japan is obviously insane. Like a million crazy factors that you just can't possibly account for. What often happens though is then the reason why this comes up is because when you play and you're like, ah, shit, I knew I should have had that match or whatever, you're like, I know I can do better than that. I know how to fight that character or that person. There's like, yeah, there is when you're thinking about yourself at optimum play at your best, and it's like there's the external factors are a part of this. When you're like, I just, yeah, I wasn't feeling it. I was off. I was in my head. I was, one of the things that happens. I mean, one thing for me for sure was over focusing on like basically I played some sets before leaving, and I was like, okay, here are the holes in my game plan. Here are the problems and the things that I lose to, that I shouldn't be losing to. So
hmm.
I'm gonna study up on the plane, and I spent the entire flight just looking up information on like how to fix the stuff that I was weak at, and then holding too much new information in my head going into these matches instead of just letting your muscle memory and instincts and just playing your game, the way you would. Because yeah, thinking of new things while you're going into this stressful environment type of thing is just like, that's not a great idea.
Yeah.
Adapt something slight if you can, but otherwise you should mostly have your muscle memory and game plan just kind of going. So
I mean, and some people don't do any of that shit. Some
no,
people just show up.
sometimes you do, but a lot of the time the people that just show up, like there's a point you'll get to where your raw skills and like experience will carry you, you know pretty decently far into the bracket, but you'll hit a wall where now the people who have been practicing grinding and even looking up other people that they would run into in the bracket have and to prepare, you're just not going to pass that. you know there's the like, you're a godlike player but you didn't practice or look up anything, and you're a godlike player and you did, and like there's a hard wall where you can see that top 96 going upwards. You're like the people who are going beyond this are the ones who like spent their time looking at each of these names and taking a moment to consider what it would mean. And also too as well, like sponsored players is a part of that, where if your sponsor is it depends on what the nature of, whether they're just kind of like, hey, we fly you out, or whether they're like, we're gonna cover your approach for the whole strategy, the whole tournament. Like sometimes the sponsor is like, I got your hotel room paid for, wear this shirt. Sometimes the sponsor is, here's your water bottle, do you need anything, did you eat, okay, let me go get some breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay, you also go practice for a bit, warm up, the sticks are working, everything's good. Like there's that level of it where you're like making sure that the player is like ready to go.
Putting money behind this player, we want this player to perform at their peak so that our sponsorship looks good and gets on the front page. Blah 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 blah.
Exactly. So, and I know that's much more normal for FPS and RTS esports.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, there's like an exercise trainer that comes and has you jog in the morning.
I saw the most absolute toxic, fucking hilarious post the other day about like, hey, don't be sad about drowning in pools, as most of you will. Instead, get to know the person who eliminated you, become friendly, and then get invited back to their hotel room, and while they're busy, playing, steal all their Fiji waters and leave.
Get hit with the fucking charge. Open up the fridge and take shit out of the fridge. Blow up the credit card. That's so evil.
It's
so
and
evil.
we're talking about getting ready for the thing, and you said the top 96 is just like the impossible thing. Like only real people are getting into that part of the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
And in the back of my mind, I'm like, or you could have your uncle just put you into the grand finals and embarrass your whole country.
Oh, yes, exactly. Or you can just hit the fucking starting block and have all the sprinters run by, and you kind of I saw that clip and I was like, was this? I'm like, I had to wait a moment because I'm like, hold on, is this like maybe like a special needs thing or like a charity moment? Is there some sort of part of this where there's someone being involved that is like kind of like to represent something?
Those of you who do not know, we're talking about the recent track and field section of the World University Games in China, in which the Somali delegate or athlete, I guess, is the niece of the Somali athletics director for the country, and has never run a day in her life, and looks like me competing at the world level track and field.
Amazing. So you see a track and field meet where the sprinters sprint, and then this lady just jogging it down, doing what she can. I
posted the link in the live chat if you want to. If you don't want to, if you're not listening to this live, you can go to just Google Somali runner takes over 20 seconds to complete the slowest ever 100-meter dash.
Break a record. shout outs to nepotism. Amazing. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
It's funny because this has been like a thing that people have been joking about for years, is that like for every Olympic event they should have an average person competing next to them.
For comparison, yeah, to show you.
It would make it look so much more impressive.
Yes. You need a margin of a margin line. You need absolutely, the little humans that stands next to the T-Rex for scale. So that was so that was a fun thing. In the end, I as per usual, I make it to the end of my pools and I die before I can get out, because that's just what I am. And I honestly, and I also had just one of the worst starting matches ever. And it's interesting because the metric that we're kind of looking at now is like they seed you according to like your placement in other events and where they expect you to go and yada yada. So you can hit projected and see where Evo thinks you're gonna end up. There's a button on the bracket to see where you're expected to land.
Oh, that's oh man.
And so like it's like some people are just like, I don't click that shit. I don't even want to know.
Oh no, I gotta see it. I gotta see it.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, get me in there. Let me see. And they're like, oh, they do, and like they project I'd make it out in losers, and I'm like, okay, so the goal then is to treat this like golf rules and see if you can hit above par or below par, and
want to beat the robot.
Show the
robot that I was better than it thought I was.
Exactly, But no, I just it's at that it's the same result as always. Like good enough to get to that deciding point, not good enough to make it to break through. And the drops that you make where you're like, I wouldn't drop this normally in any regular circumstance, but the Evo environment situation is making you play more like worse than you usually would. That's for that applies to everybody. We're all doing that. So you're like dropping shit. You're like, what the fuck? And then you're trying to not get in your head about the fact that you drop something that you never usually drop.
I saw people in the chat just earlier saying it was nice to see that even the world champion drops Ken combos in the middle of their matches.
Everyone gets hit by drive impact. We are all human. The most important thing to learn from watching this bracket this weekend is no matter how good you are, even Angry Bird and Mena and Sonic Fox, everyone that like literally that you look at all your top player, like top 96 player people, everyone's getting hit by drive impact at some point. You can think that you've got the perfect reactions for it on a perfect day, but there's going to be situations where you cannot.
I forget. I want to say it was Rooflemonger, but I'm not sure. But they were streaming and they were talking about fucking DJ's jump scare of fucking Drive
Rush. Yeah.
And they were loading into a match with DJ. And they're like, okay, I know it's coming. Just react. React.
Yep.
And immediately got Drive Rush jabbed.
Yep, exactly.
In frame 1 of the thing. Like, he's discussing how it is going to happen to him.
And it's
still so fast that it happened.
Shout out to Rooflemonger. He was on the flight back, so
I think it was Rooflemonger. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we got to chill and talk for a while and stuff. Yeah, it's amazing to know exactly what's coming and still have no ability to really handle it or deal with it. Those are the craziest and most frustrating moments. And that's why the joke is, oh, Honda's easy, just perfect parry, bro. Right? Just PP it, bro, has become a meme because it's like if you want to deal with headbutt, 2-frame, perfect parry, drive rush in, blow him up. What's the problem, you know? And it's like, yeah, you have it's hard. This is it. It's hard, right? I don't know, like I forgot, like wherever it was, there's like I don't know if you remember me screaming because it's hard, Pat. Like
I remember playing Guilty Gear. I remember playing Strive. And like Potemkin's, like that little crouch clap he does.
Yeah.
Right. That beats Dolphin, like every time.
Fuck.
And so like when I was playing, people were like, "Yeah, just do fucking 6P." Like on reaction to the Dolphin's fucking instantaneous.
Right. And so this exact thing is, but it's fucking hard, is why modern competitively is a thing and why, as predicted, a modern player made it to top 8. I was like, what is the representation we're going to see and how high is modern going to get? And I'm like, I bet you we're going to see modern in top 8. I bet you. Like, looking at the way it's happening right now online, Japanese players using it and the way they're using it, I don't think you're going to see a ton of them, but you're going to see it, you know? And I mean, so top 6 now is the format that we go with for Sundays. But either way, there's Haitani and Shuto showing you that like the sacrifice for your damage that you take with the modern button, it doesn't matter because people have no ability to anti-air you unless you're sneezing. You know what I mean? Like, and so we got to watch because Chirithi, for example, like he went out to a modern Ken player in the bracket that was just like, the moment you do anything that looks open for a second, hit the button. I don't care. I'm not gonna, why?
I'm not dropping combos because these are modern combos.
So, but they can because you still have to do.
Yeah, I know, but they're not the same.
They're not doing the assist combos necessarily.
They're a different world.
You're not using you're not like in competition. You're not using the assist combos to do your stuff because. Like in some situations, you might do it quickly for like a particular exchange, but you will still want to do good damage, which means you have to do it manually, But you're using modern buttons for the fast anti-airs, for instant level 3s, and just anything that is a reaction check should no longer be that. But he did some cool shit where like there was a moment where Henry was like, okay, Chirithi was like, okay, every time Cammy's jumping in or doing anything like airborne, modern Ken, sure you can button. No, you don't, right?
Yeah.
So he did a shallow dive kick and then made Ken whiff a Shoryuken. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, there we go, right? Then, I mean, this is classic Street Fighter antics or so, but you just have to be even tighter because of the modern reaction. So then so then that guy gets a little more hesitant to do that in the future. So then the next jump in, he kind of just waits for the dive kick that never comes. It's a normal jump in and it works. And we're like, yeah, let's go. And now we're playing the game, But then the third time, he just presses it and goes all the way in and blows it up. It is also interesting because modern versions of the characters, they lose some pretty crucial tools in some cases, right? Luke is the one who's got like the most going for him in Modern, whereas Marissa in Modern I find is crazy. But there is, again, Shuto is a great Japanese player that uses it. She loses the Sparta kick entirely. She completely doesn't have that move in Modern mode. And to me, I'm like,
oh, really?
That's nuts. I don't want to play without that.
Ew.
You know?
That's weird.
But makes up for it by using just a one-button Gladius, you know? But in any case, not to get too in depth on that. We had overall, you know, that was my bracket. Reggie got out of pools and then won his next 3 matches, so he did really well. And then he would not that he would say it, right? Because the match he went out on was one where he played like badly, you know. But the match right before that was one of the cleanest he ever played. And it is interesting because like we got to watch and see. We're like, okay, so Reggie's direct strength is when he fights somebody who's playing properly, honestly, and he can out footsie and play that game really, really well. And when he plays against someone that's going insane, that's the weakness, because it's like he's trying to control the chaos, so to speak, you know?
That's so Ryu.
It is, isn't it? Even when he's not playing Ryu. So that's kind of what happens there. And then, you know, the rest of the crew as well, you know, they made it further in, but unfortunately, you know, didn't quite make it all the way. It's the first Street Fighter tournament. It's also a first Street Fighter Evo 2 months out or whatever. And there's a point too where you have to think to yourself, hold on a minute, like how many tournaments have I participated in? For me, the answer is Evo was my third, right? For Reggie, it was the second. And then for a number of people, you're like, yeah, it's like, you know, single digit or so. But for some of the people that go hard, there's been an online bracket every week. There's nearly one every day in some cases. And like players like Flux Waves are competing in a tournament bracket every single day. Like online somewhere, someone's got a thing going. Yeah, I'll join. You know, and like when you think about that level of grind, you're like, of course, you're going to get all the most matchup knowledge you can. You're going to get everything out of, you know, your dedication at that point. And I'm like, I'm just kind of like, I know for a fact I don't have that ability to grind it out. And I'm a player who needs to spend my time kicking the tree, Rock Lee style. I know my intuition only goes so far. Raw seeing the information and making up for it with experience is how I actually get better at things. So, you know, you gotta just go, all right, how much time can I put into this? What's my schedule gonna be? But good times with that. As I mentioned, there was a couple other things going on as well. Yeah, Project L, fucking the amount of fun that's gonna come from duos talking shit together, elbowing, you know, like tag me in, bro, you should just burst, all that shit we were talking about. Like, it's absolutely gonna be a humongous fun thing that is gonna make competitive Project L very different from anything we've seen in fighting games up to this point. And I think that on its own will be like a huge factor in it being a hit. It's going to be different from what Street Fighter 6 and every other fighting game has been doing up to this point, just to watch it competitively with two people interacting with each other, you know? It might even be fun to have them mic'd up for stream so you can hear what each team is saying to each other and stuff, you know?
I want it. I want just mental breakdowns. I want screaming matches. I want friendships destroyed. I want the winner. You know what I want? I want to go and watch the finals of Project L and have that SBO shit where one person just wins the whole thing and then the second person just sits there and goes,
never played.
I'm the champion.
Yep. So that's exactly it. I mean, literally. So a couple months ago, Chirathi and another player from Montreal, PTS, went to France for a Third Strike tournament, and they won the team tournament, and it's a 3v3. Their third player, Younes, a dude from here, didn't go. He couldn't make it, and they still entered as just the two of them and won without having their third player. and they're like
physically even there,
and they just never got to the point where they needed him. And then they got back to Montreal, handed him his prize, his trophy, and went, here you go. You know? Like, the best third strike player that didn't enter a tournament. It was incredible. That is a thing. Absolutely. There will be people that beast hard. But at the same time, the game's combo system kind of it encourages the tagging. So I think you're not going to be able to go too hard without a tag coming out of the launch button switch, system. But that was a lot of fun. Over in the indie row, shout outs to, Drag Her was there, the fighting game. There was a Kickstarter for it a while ago, but it was a fighting game based on the drag community, and that thing's coming along. There's new characters in that. It's wild and like just all about you're learning how to spill the tea, so to speak. And they give up. Like, I got a fan for it as well. Like fun to see how that's coming along. We tried out. We saw next to them was Corruption as well. I've been tweeting out every once in a while just like combo videos of like tech characters in a like sort of Mass Effect kind of setting, just doing air combos and Virgil shit. Nice to see how that's coming along as well. More characters, and they've kind of reimagined the game from the ground up to no longer be like an arena fighter. So plays a lot better, and I'm really looks cool. Then there was Head to Head, the game that has my head in it as from Arc Forged. Super fun with that. They added more characters to that as well. Lots of what these games have in common is like the Marvel sauce and the ability to just blow shit up and dirty cross-ups, things that make you go, ow, and because Arc Forged is working on multiple of them. So you get that. Five Force Fighters, which is the game where I describe it as essentially Huey and Riley Freeman Dragon Balling all over the screen. And if you're thinking of you've probably seen it, but it's just like straight up these like really stylish game of just like a Boondocks fight scene playing out with the superpowers going. It was tons of fun. That thing is great, and got to meeting the creator there was very cool. Arcus Chroma, the from GX Grainson, who made Hyper Hitboxing. That thing was awesome as well. Like, I'm super happy to see that coming along, and just got to chat. And I mean, that game is like, it's one of my favorites because it's just like, it's a fighting game with no jumping, and everyone's got a dodge button. So I'm in love with it mechanically. It's so much fun. And just all of the indies doing it. Checkmate Showdown was there. Pocket Bravery was there. Tough Love Arena. All of them. Cool to see. Susie was around, killing it as Manon, and just kind of like created a impromptu photo like booth area at the Capcom booth, and just kind of like, they're like, can you just stick around and be the booth Manon to like take photos with? So she did that, and that was great. And then we caught up in
what was it like hanging out with Lythero?
I didn't meet Lythero.
Yeah, you did. You signed his face.
I did, in fact, meet Lythero. Yes. No. He showed up, and his plushie showed up, and I was asked to sign his face. So a signing of the face I did do.
The person who brought that to you was in my stream last night.
Yeah.
And they described to me that the exact reaction they were looking for was, and that they got it.
Well, because
like, that was engineered to cause
Captain Pile Driver
exasperation.
So Captain Pile Driver came over and like was like, "Yo, do you want me to go get Lythero?" And I was like, "Oh, is he around? Yo, yeah, okay, cool. No, we haven't met him yet. That's all. That'd be awesome." And he's like, "Yeah, okay." And then he kind of turns around and then just reaches in his bag and pulls the play. I'm like, "You fucking, because like we're at Evo. It's legitimately a possibility.
It's the perfect time to hit you
that
with
he could be standing right over there. So yeah, that happened. The meetup was a bit like odd as well because last time we did a meetup, we'd go to the arcade at Fremont Street, but it's like an hour away, and I didn't want to have that. People ask people to leave the venue to do that and stuff. So I was like, let me just find somewhere at Evo to do this, and luckily we found that bar. And then when we went to it, we just kind of like found a table, sat down, and then people kind of sort of just creating a semicircle instead of a line, and I was like, oh, then it became like now I'm like holding court doing like a panel. And I was like, I don't have material, guys. I don't know what, and then like Susie came over and just kind of saw that and was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, okay, well, I'm out, but I'll catch you. And then she just, went over and like, okay. And then thankfully, Maguma was like, okay, everyone line up. You guys this
do
way.
The line, man.
The
semicircle sucks because then the people in the edge of the semicircle don't want to leave the semicircle.
So then we figured it out and it was fine. But like, it was, I'm like, I got nothing for you. What do you, hi, But that was cool. We figured that out as well. And of course, that by that point, you're like, okay, my throat is just going to be gone. Like, I'm not going to be able to talk on Sunday, much less cheer. And I was, for everyone that I spoke to and, everyone that, like, again, like, thanks to everybody that's like, yeah, you got me back into fighting games and all that. I'm like, that's the job, mission accomplished. So many people were there in just that capacity and as spectators had a great time. And I asked some folks, I'm like, hey, did you get your Sunday tickets? And some people were like, nah, they were sold out, unfortunately. It's like, okay, well, maybe next time or so. But if the answer was yes, then I was like, you're in then. Like, I don't want anyone to feel bad. So yeah, right. So I'm not going to tell you to your face, like, sorry, you're missing out on the best part of the weekend. But if you got in there, it's the best part of the fucking weekend, and it's still great without it. But the floor itself and all the cool shit going on, like capping it off with that giant arena, is the fucking best, man. And for those who were there, you saw it. I put some of that out there again. The room full of people going, yeah, whenever they didn't skip it, of course. Tons of fun, man. And like, that's the level where they're like, okay, so where are we at with Evo? We're at the level where the governor of Nevada is coming out to award Evo Day on August 8th in Nevada, and to give and then the key to Las Vegas to the city being given to the Cannons, and the idea of this is the biggest offline esports tournament ever that they're and and so like breaking all those records and yada yada, like, okay, we're there, it's officially at that scale where the government is rolling in going, hey, what's going on over here, gamers?
Hey, you kids like them video games? And then like Mike Ross and the Cannons are in their fucking 40s going, dude, I'm like, I got gray hairs. Hey, man, I saw Mike. He's got some gray hair. He looks great.
Yeah.
He looks great with the gray hair.
Mike's cool. I love, he's been streaming and, playing and like his stream title is it's the most Mike Ross title ever, which is his streams are just called, Am I Ass?
That's tough.
And it's like, I might be, or I might be a god,
I don't know.
I feel
like he lives in this weird nexus of like, he's way better than me.
He's amazing. But
he's way worse than the people in top 96.
But the spirit of the statement is true in when you say it. So the moment you go, I'm ass, you are ass. Even if that's grand finals. And then when you make a hard read or turn a drop into a conversion, you're a god. You're a god. That's the only way.
Yeah, I meant to drop that. That was to fuck with them.
Immediately, every time. Both can be true. Tons of fun there. And let me just take a look here. What else is going on? Oh, yeah. Then there's just the part where you can... Vegas is around. So at some point, I'm like, okay, I go play the games a little bit. I've had fun in the past, and it's just like it's an evil thing to just do a little bit of blackjack, do a little bit of the only things I ever did is like a little bit of roulette, chill at blackjack for a bit, and then I learned about craps, and craps is fun. Obviously, you take the number that you're willing to lose, and that's it. You roll, and you only fuck around with that. But apparently, since COVID, Vegas has cranked up its prices on the minimum tables. So what used to be like a $10 table is now a $25 table. So you can, the time it would take you to sit there and lose $100, you could or make it, is now massively increased. So it's like, okay, maybe a little less playing this time around, but at the very least, I showed everybody, the Montreal crew, how to play some craps, and that's a fun game because it's a team activity. You win and you lose together. There's that you got to know when to hold them, when to fold them type of bit, and I can see that like when it comes to fighting games, Reggie's a clean, responsible player. I'll go YOLO with some bullshit. And then when it comes to gambling, it's the complete opposite. I'll be like, all right, I'm up, I'm out. That's good. Right? And Reggie will be like, I'm playing the field a little bit. Here, let's jump in. Let's do it. And he'll just make these things because he's like, I got the amount that I'm willing to lose. So I'd rather be up or down than just even, And I'm like, oh no, I'm very happy being even and above. In fact, the tradition is put 100 on black as soon as we land, and that sets the tone. Sets the tone. So did it, brought everybody down, picked the table. We all won 100. Took that first 100, put that away. This is what I'm playing with now.
Yeah, my mom and dad would go to the casino when I was a kid, and I didn't quite understand the method that they used because I was like a child. I now look back at the same explanation and understand it. It's like, well, okay, we go and we have $200 that we're willing to spend at the casino, right? And this is like 94, right? So it's like, I don't know, like $500 now. And the way that it would work is that they would split up, and mom would lose her $200, and dad would make about 190, and then they would come home.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's how that system worked.
Amazing.
And then they would get dinner.
So that's it. Like in conclusion, Reggie plays fighting games like Chester, but he gambles like Red Shepherd.
I see.
That's what that was. That was cool. There's some other stuff we'll get into Evo related in terms of announcements and so on. But overall, stuff that was not great was hearing about the melting PS5s.
That's wild.
There was like there's a couple of stations where like people pulled out the USB and then the fucking connector came with it. And furthermore, Snafu lost his match in the most bullshit way possible because he had not even like a second controller connected from elsewhere. The connection to the internet dropped, which caused a pop-up that paused the game. That then led to, it was a round he was winning, and then the judge call was to restart it. But it's like, but that sucks because he was winning the round and the guy was burnt out, and like what about like the circumstance? And it's like, yeah, no, that's the ruling. And the ruling, because that's based on, again, the whole, like, if someone doesn't disconnect their PS4 controller, interrupts it, it's neither player's fault, just restart the set. And I'm like, you're stealing someone's progress in that situation. That's garbage. So then, of course, they run it back, and he doesn't recreate the situation, and it doesn't go the same way,
Yeah, now I know what to avoid to cause me to not lose that round.
Fucking sucks, man, But that's how he went out. And, like, when we saw that, like, what can you say? The rules just robbed you. To go out like that is a fucking bummer, man.
What he should do is they should just fucking fight for real afterwards.
In the moment I saw it pause the game,
wow,
all of my instincts were, okay, just hold it on that screen, don't quit, wait, and And then once the guy, the pool runner was like, oh, like we just like restarted or so. It's like, hold on, what about the life lead? What about the disadvantage? What about the round? And there was like, he's like, okay, well, I would have to call for a ref, which he then never did. But I was like, I should have told him stay on that screen, you know. But anyway, they already went back to character select at that point. But that makes it all the more fucking impressive. Where in grand finals, when Mena and Angry Bird are fighting, and Mena's controller disconnects, right? Mm. And that's an immediate round loss. And the rules even specify that the players don't even get to deny that because they don't want to make anyone the bad guy or whatever. So it's supposed to happen that way. And I think somewhere else in the bracket, someone had to come back and fight a match that they won again because of the rulings. Like there's some crazy shit that happens, right? That
you gotta have somebody on hand for anything within a certain state, within a certain rank of the tournament. You have to have somebody there to be available for this kind of nonsense,
right? So, but Angry Bird is such a fucking beast that he just leans over. He's like, "Yo, run it, unpause. Let's just keep playing." Like, what a sportsman, just fucking like infinite respect on that. And not only did like Mena was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Yeah, right, let's continue," and they just continue. But right after that, he drive rushes in, and then Mena does a drive reversal on it, and then spends the drive so that they're both back down from the moment that it refilled while they're waiting to see what was happening. So like they even resume, and he spends some of his drive, and then they continue the fight. And it's like, what a fucking awesome way, you know, like to go about that if both players are good with it. Incredible. Like the type of player that was probably just like, everyone would take the round, you know, and it's like, I want to continue where we were and win that, and I want to win this way. So just amazing with that. The switching back and forth between Blanket and Luke was a wild strategy I've never seen before. Let's try to confuse the matchup by making it left and right.
Super and normal. Now I'm going to play super stupid.
Exactly. The most responsible versus the most irresponsible play. And that's what it looks like. Most people have a main and then a secondary. Like Mena has two mains. And that's what it looks like when you have two mains and you can alternate back and forth, you know. Didn't work at the end. But that was just a great time all around. The PS5 problems are the main issue, I would say. And it sucks that Sony would sponsor an event or like want to have Evo be a major thing, but not do something like disconnect all controllers, tournament settings to help with that. Or why is it online anyways? It doesn't need to be online for an offline tournament. Why is a connection message popping up?
Those are different departments, is what my gut says.
You know,
is the department that is involved in actually making that kind of interface change has nothing to do with the marketing nerds that are sending out PS5s.
Only one person can save us now. Pokimane.
Oh yes, Pokimane. Yeah,
from the heavens. She's got to, you know, come. I mean, she's already picked the whole thing off the ground and cradled it like Marissa, and now she's got to defend us on behalf of Sony's just inability to get this shit right. So anyway, that's how it went down, and I still wish we could get top 8s instead of top 6. It must feel bad to be like 7th or 8th place, but you didn't get to the main stage, whereas every other year you would. I know that's because Rick wants things to run on a much tighter ship for scheduling, but for those players, you know, you always kind of look at it's always been 8. So anyway, besides that, I guess just a quick other thing. I saw Oppenheimer. It was fucking awesome.
Dude, there was a big explosion.
There was, and you know what? That explosion was like, you're like, oh, so that's the story, and it's like, no, that's like midpoint. There's a whole bunch after that to go through as you're going through his life, and like that's
Oppenheimer was victim to like the same grand delusion that like World War I caused, which is like the Great War or the Great Bomb will be so horrible that the average person will go, oh no, we can never do a bomb or a war or a bad again. And then everyone just starts going, what if we had a bigger war? What if we had a bigger bomb?
Right.
And it's like, oh.
It was really, really well done, and Nolan directing what is essentially a documentary as if it were an action movie. Where like verbal boss battles are happening constantly, and they're being scored and shot and like filmed like action scenes, you know. Really just excellent, really, really good. And I guess I'll just take the opportunity to once again plug, like, I'm so happy that I did the Dan Carlin's Hardcore History Supernova in the East podcast series that covered extensively the war, basically the Japan side of World War II and how things went. And 20 hours or so of like detailed podcast breakdowns of the history of it, from every single aspect, from every island, Iwo Jima to the main, like the whole build up all the way to the main island. And all that context really adds a lot. It adds a lot to this movie, you know, and there's a lot of stuff that they kind of, for time, they're not getting into conversations and throwaway lines that have like much bigger historical implications and ramifications. But like as a primer, it's a lot to ask to be like, hey, you want to listen to 20 hours of podcasting, but it gives you just the most aerial view of the situation, I guess.
Would you like to learn about one of the most important and well-documented events that has ever occurred in the history of humans?
I highly recommend it, especially because, like, you know, when it comes to just the framing of it, and like he's really good at like talking about just, if you are the decision maker and this is what you know at the time, because when we look back, we have what we have the perfect, you know, hindsight. When you're in the moment, what do you know? How do you make these decisions? And he kind of breaks down what people knew what in the time they were in the rooms they were in, and then the bullshit that we, you know, the times also, the era that they believed in, the way war was perceived. Like, there's a million little pieces that all lead to the way things go down.
Like, I feel bad for the guy, because while they're building the bomb, they're like, you know, the Germans are also working on their own fucking atom bomb right now, right?
Yeah. Like, you know, and then there's the Russians and the fucking, and, you know, and then the communism, and it's like, man, like, what is the biggest threat to you again? Like, what's the fucking, yeah. Anyway, it's crazy, but
Nintendo. No, wait, no, that's later.
But all this to say that it's I think it's really important to look at that with as much information as you can, because, like, I know that prior to, like, if I were to see this movie without, I think, some of that context, and kind of just going off of what I remember from some Wikipedia articles, a couple of movies, and then like a history lesson in high school, there's a lot that is kind of like hand waveable that I would say you really want to hear the details on, you know? So Oppenheimer, I guess, better than Tenet is what everyone seems to be saying. I haven't seen Tenet, but they're saying that it's like not a great Nolan movie.
Every single thing I've ever seen from Tenet makes me go,
yeah,
it's
I don't know.
The same movie backwards and forwards. That sounds stupid.
I'm curious to watch it. I'm curious to see what's up. But either way, this was a great one. My throat is hurting. I need some water. How was Baby?
So baby time now, and it will be baby time for many years. So I will try and keep baby time discussions quick. Boy, you get super fast at dealing with diapers. You get like just tons of practice. Like, just, you shit yourself? Okay, buddy, I got you. No, not one hand. You need the second hand to grab their little leg and be like, nah. And you're like, okay, you shit yourself, buddy? Okay, I'd be mad too. Okay, great. All right, I'll clean you up. Don't worry, buddy. And then you snap that diaper on and you pick them up and you get hit with the... All right. Cool. All right, back down we go. All right, there you go. All good now? Okay, good? Okay, great. All right, fantastic. Pick them up, rock them a little bit, wait next to the changing table. You chill? You chill? You sleeping? You're sleeping now. Okay, great. Walk away. Like, it's wild because it's so loud. Like, you think of somebody shitting their pants and you think of it as being like quiet. With a baby, it's so loud. It sounds like a whoopee cushion going off.
Well,
you're gonna know.
It's a small baby, but it's also a person farting and shitting with the force of a person.
But oh wow, it's loud. It's crazy.
But it's with a D though, right? Farting and shitting.
Yes, that's correct.
Good.
He's a chill little guy. We had a doula over the other day, and she remarked that we got really lucky, and that our newborn is actually super chill, just like the nurses at the hospital said. So fucking double thumbs up on that one.
Awesome.
We're taking shifts in the evening, on and off, so we can get the good sleeps. I think it's actually worked really well. But yeah, most of the time, that newborn phase is baby just sleeps and sleeps and sleeps, and then poops himself, and then wakes up and demands food, and then poops himself again, and then goes back to sleep, and that's it. That's kind of it. Swaddling is a fun skill to learn.
I'm jealous.
Because you have to get over your own internal bias to, oh, he's just a tiny little baby made out of glass. I have to be. And then after a few days, you're like wrapping the baby and you're like looping the blanket underneath. And I'm putting my right hand on the baby's right shoulder and then grabbing the swaddle on the underneath and going to tighten the swaddle on the baby because he wants those arms out. And I'm like, don't get your arms out. You're going to punch yourself in the eyes again because I don't know why you want to do that. That's a weird thing to do. But yeah, no, just really just lock them in there.
Like Kankuro. Just fucking,
yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's great. Cat, we got the cat back. Cat's back. Elmo is back. And we were very worried because sometimes cats can be jealous of baby or territorial towards baby or, whatever. The cat regards the human child in my home with as much regard as he does my cell phone. He smelled the baby once, and when the baby makes like a big noise, Elmo will like occasionally look at him, but other than that, just nothing.
Neutral.
They might as well not exist in each other's periphery.
Okay.
Which is great. Which is great. That's what you want. Right? Because we got the bassinet, right? And you got to and we have like a mosquito net on the bassinet, right? And the reason why we have the mosquito net on the bassinet is because not for mosquitoes, right? All of our doors and windows are closed. But cats that really love your baby will want to jump into the bassinet with the baby and lie on the baby and kill your baby. So we don't want that.
Okay.
So mosquito net it is.
Indifference. Good.
Wild indifference. But yeah, aside from that, it's just like hanging out with like a little guy who gets like really frustrated when I'm slow like heating up his food. Like a old man getting pissed off that like his waiter's taking 4 minutes.
Bro, what the fuck?
That's it. It's
I ordered this 4 minutes ago.
Aside from the near constant sleep deprivation, at the newborn phase, just don't drop them, feed them, get the poop out. Though I will say, I cleaned so many diapers yesterday that when I went to sleep at night, and you lie down on your side and like your like balls get tucked into your legs or something, so you got to like adjust yourself, right? and then you pull your balls out, and I thought to myself, God, I hope I don't have shit under my balls.
Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, it's not
that would be awkward.
No, it's not your balls that are shitty. You got it. There's a difference. How did that get there? Who put this shit in my balls?
Yeah, who put that there? Who could have done this?
Damn.
So yeah, love baby good, being a good baby. Paige is doing great.
Good.
Everything's great.
Good.
Temperament. Aside from that,
temperament good is fucking.
Oh,
awesome
I don't
sign.
know. Like, I don't know how my wife and I somehow got a chill baby, because we are not chill. Like, me and Paige are just like blah 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 at like at like this volume, with like shit on in the background and the cat running around screaming. And baby don't care. Baby just sleeping and having a good time.
I mean, everyone's got their, like, everyone's got the hilarious version of this where it's just like, it's the fusion character that has all the wildest traits. But here I'm thinking the best outcome would be just the straight man that is not putting up with either of your bullshit.
Yeah.
Too
like
chill
a totally
for that.
serious child.
Just like, what the fuck? Okay, all right.
And like, we kept, you know what's like a really awkward moment when you're talking to like a nurse or something, and they're like, oh, he's sleeping kindly. I'm like, pleasantly. I'm like, oh, I don't, it's weird. When I was a little baby, I was really fussy. Like, I was a good toddler and up, but I was like a terrible infant. I was like screaming all the time, blah blah blah. She's like, well, why was that? I'm like, well, mom told me I had terrible colic. And she goes, well, did you know any cause? Nope. She just said it was terrible colic. And I then like put the pieces together, and I'm like, you know what? Living in a household in 1987 in which there were a total of 5 packs of cigarettes being smoked a day between two parents may have exacerbated my baby colic. It might have been an option or a possibility.
God.
Just that I have this thought, and it's this weird thing where I love my mom and dad so much, but like I look at the baby that I'm dealing with right now, and I'm like, well, now I know I'm a dad, and I'm like, what would I feel like if I just was holding the baby
with a fucking
and
Lucy.
Then I lit up a cigarette.
Yeah, exactly.
And
just
then
right
just
there.
Directly in my 1 week old face.
You just vape nationing your fucking baby, just getting the O's around the baby head. Yo.
And I remember I was explaining this to
beats.
Paige. And she was like, listen, she was trying to be kind about it. She's like, listen, it was a different time. They didn't know. And I'm like, no, I'm talking about 1987. They did know. That was known.
And then, of course, like you take the baby out and then head over to a restaurant or a diner and you sit in the smoking section. And then you get on a plane in the smoking area, and and you just like, yeah, there was of course gonna be these fucking outcomes.
I've talked about it before, and I think we've talked about it before on this podcast. I think the single biggest thing that got people to quit smoking en masse was going to McDonald's and seeing the fucking plastic divider down the middle of the restaurant for the smoking section to the no smoking section. And you just saw the haze and the stains on the plastic, and people would walk out and you would like choke on it because it was like a fucking, like, it was like a flashbang went off in there, and it was like, oh my God, that is awful. But like, I don't know if you ever dealt with this, but like, you're driving somewhere as a family and it's -20, and the kids in the back are like, please roll down a window, and they're like, fine, and then they roll it down the thumbnail level down, like, see the smoke's going right outside, and now you're freezing cold, and like just gross.
Yeah, like no, there's the two attitudes, right? There's the like, yeah, I know this sucks, it smells, it's awful, I'm addicted, I'm sorry. And then there's the fuck you, like too bad, deal with it type of attitude. That's just
My
like,
parents
okay,
didn't do either of those.
huh.
My parents were in the like, it's not that big of a deal, like stop complaining like thing. Not like angry, just like, you kids are being babies, yada yada. I had a teacher at school like ask me to stay in high school, and he was like, listen, are you smoking? Because it's bad for you. And I'm like, no, I don't smoke.
Okay.
And I'm like, it was my French class, and it was like my second period of the day. And I'm like, is it in my clothes that much?
I mean, I would say that like, yeah, the get used to it, it's not that bad is kind of in the latter category. It does fit into of the two there, but I mean, for me, it just meant like, oh, I went to the arcade, is what that meant, right?
Oh yeah. You know what you should start smoking in general, and then they wouldn't have known you went to the arcade.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I know smokers can hide back in the day, using cigarette smoke to hide like the smell of weed was was a big thing.
That's a good plan, because cigarette smell is stronger, at least in my opinion. But yeah, no, I am not smoking cigarettes in my infant child's face. I can absolutely promise that. Also, man, like our parents in many ways did their best, but I told this before, but I'm telling it again because it's such a great example where like don't listen to your parents about like most of it, because like the very first thing, like we're like, oh, we're getting the bassinet, we're getting a nursery, blah blah blah, right? And my mom goes, oh, you make sure to get crib bumpers for your crib so that the baby can't hit their head on the crib bars. And we go, Mom, crib bumpers kill babies. It was discovered that crib bumpers are like one of the leading causes of SIDS ever.
Yeah. So the move there is to go, okay, let's Google and see what's new in crib bumper technology. Oh, look. Hey, would you look at that? The Wikipedia has updated. Let's read this together, shall we? Like, we need to learn how to update shit that was normal back when it was, from their memory.
Hey, you want some baby powder? How much asbestos do you want to be putting on your baby?
God. Yes. Wait for the mercury salesman to come around and knock on the door and sell us some mercury. For the child, of course. Yeah, man. Let them know to just you gotta look into shit sometimes.
Yeah, oh boy.
But at the same time too, like I feel like there's also the stuff that like there's just as many that are not real as well, right? There's like there's tips that are just like literally like anyway, whatever. I don't know where I'm going.
Make sure to. Oh, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I know.
But just like make sure to do this thing that doesn't matter.
That doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Yes, exactly. Like that.
You'll see things like make sure to talk to your baby. Great. Okay. Make sure to smile and repeat their stuff back to them and pay them attention. Great. Fantastic. Try and show your infant child how to learn to read words. I'm like, an infant child has the eyesight capability of like a slug. Like they can see like light and dark and basic shapes. Like that's it. That's all they got.
Make sure to take a picture with skin to skin contact as the dad for clout to steal credit from the mom's hard work.
Oh, I have I'd pop my shirt off and baby hangs. Luckily, like Willie, my body type, like you've lost a bunch of weight, so you're approaching like a character creator level of like body type like shape here. I am not. I'm still in my orb thing, in my A cups, and the orb and the A cups are just great for popping a baby right there in the middle, and baby can just chill because everything just is perfect to hold a baby.
Contained. Yeah. And you know what? Like, more skin contact equals more bonding equals, you know, all of these good beneficial things. So just having the full enfold, right? Yeah. Optimal. Truly a dad bod, indeed.
You know, I talked about this on my stream, but like, you know when people are like, you've talked to parents and you're like 20 or whatever, and they're like, oh my God, just having a baby my whole life is completely different. It's the most incredible, magical thing to happen. Oh, you could never understand how much I love this baby. And then you go and say, well, like, I love my dog a lot, or I love my cat. They're my baby, right? And then they go, oh, how could you compare such a thing? It's so ridiculous. How it's so it's exactly the same. It's the same exact type of emotion. It's just stronger. Because you made it.
Exactly. And because I'm a selfish asshole piece of shit, that make it a big enough deal so that I can dismiss anybody else, right? That's
like it's the same emotion, it's just stronger, right? Mm-hmm. And also you get to have all sorts of fun things where like, what's baby gonna grow up to be? Are they gonna be a vet or a doctor or a lawyer?
Baby is gonna grow up to be whatever my lost dreams were. Starting now, start continuing my dreams now. Get into baby pageant and fucking like you know. The
baby will be taller than me, so done. Already ahead of the curve,
right? Same, but just like same mentality of you could never imagine is also, baby will be me part 2. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to some degree, baby will be me part 2.
Yes, but of your own design in a fucking trying to whatchamacallit, Hyuga style manner, you know, create the outcomes and design.
Like we had like a whole conversation that was like, what sport or interest can the kid get into that we'd be like, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah, I'll go to the fucking soccer game. Yeah, woo, kick the ball. Fucking soccer. Why did it have to be this? You're doing great. Oh, my God. I'm so...
Yeah, just there's a lot of people that spent a lot of time treating their kids as, like, object extensions of their, like, you know, possessions as opposed to a person that just doesn't know things yet.
More of that. Personally,
yeah,
because like when I was a kid, I was like, you can be anything you want. Like what? Anything? No, like what? Anything. I'm like, give me something to go on here, Mom. Would you like anything? Like, give me a crumb of suggestion here.
I got I said it before, but I got, hey, doctor or lawyer, pick one. And I'm like, I'll get back to you on that one.
And you went artist, and they went, God damn it.
It's too late, Father. I've seen everything.
Oh, no, not art. Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it.
I got to take a quick break.
All right.
Break time.
BRB. All right. Quick word from our sponsors. As soon as the internet decides. This week. Oh, Jesus Christ, my throat.
Just spray some lozenge on your neck.
Yeah. This podcast is sponsored by HelloFresh. You know the deal. That is the best way to get yourself some fresh ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered straight to your doorstep. Skip the trips to the grocery store. Get yourself some HelloFresh for easy, affordable cooking.
I love HelloFresh so goddamn much.
The convenience of getting what you want to eat tasty right there in the box is great. Appreciate the freshness. And, you know, as we always say, it feels good to take credit for something that some way smarter chefs designed and proportioned for you. You put them together, you waited for the beep, and then everyone went, yay, you're a master chef. And you're like, yes, I am.
Yes, I absolutely am. I did this all by myself with my own brain.
And you turn to the camera and you wink because it's like, it's the HelloFresh card sticking out of your back pocket. Yeah. No, get me some of that chicken pesto anytime. Good stuff. And the regular can be mixed up if you want 100 plus add-on items you can choose from. You can curate that list. You've got a whole bunch of 15-minute quick recipes as well that are available. You can get family-friendly, fit, and wholesome proteins. You can get vegetarian or vegan. You've got all kinds of different options as well to customize your meal kits. And as someone who's been, trying to change up my diet, it's very useful to have the options as well. Plus, you're saving 25% cheaper than takeout, less expensive than grocery shopping. Just choose your recipes and receive a fresh, pre-proportioned ingredient and get cooking quick. So that is the best way to do it. And of course, on a regular basis, you can get these things. You can get the boxes delivered and paused in your schedule. You can choose how you want to mix it up on a regular basis. So, yeah, nothing to lose. In fact, right now, you can go to HelloFresh.com/50SuperBeast and use code 50SuperBeast for 50% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/50SuperBeast and use code 50SuperBeast for 50% off plus free shipping. That's America's #1 meal kit. Thank you, HelloFresh.
I love you, HelloFresh.
All right. This week, the podcast is sponsored by ExpressVPN. I know most of you are probably thinking, why don't you just use incognito mode?
That's not good enough, man!
Let me tell you something. Incognito mode does not hide your activity. It doesn't matter what mode you use or how many times you clear your browser history. The internet service provider still sees every single website you've ever visited. So, ExpressVPN is awesome at making sure that you don't get your privacy invaded by, for data collection purposes or even just for, the usage that I regularly enjoy is when I want to watch something that I'm not supposed to because I'm Canadian. I click a button that says, no, I'm not.
You shouldn't be doing this. You should get back to Canada and shut up.
No, I'm not in Canada. I'm elsewhere. I'm wherever ExpressVPN lets me pick, which is anywhere in the world. And just like that, I get to watch what I want when I want to. Not to mention, of course, there's also the ability to, like if a game is not out yet, you can ExpressVPN and say, yes, it is. So I've...
Totally is, bro.
I've been able to enjoy that as well. It's a single click, and just like that, it works. I very much appreciate that. And yeah, you can get it going on your phones, your computer, even your smart TV. It's available on all your devices. So, just like that, you can easily protect your online activity. today with the VPN rated #1 by Business Insider. Use our exclusive link, expressvpn.com/superbeast, and you can get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/superbeast. expressvpn.com/superbeast to learn more. Oh, I should also mention that your encrypted information is done with the most powerful encryption available. So that 12-year-old in McDonald's, he ain't going to see shit.
They don't have a chance.
Right? Make that kid sad.
Yeah.
expressvpn.com/superbeast. Thank you, ExpressVPN.
Thanks, ExpressVPN.
All right. The podcast this week is also sponsored by Babbel.
Babbel, you say?
Tu gastas de meu podcast?
Oh my god, I just got it. The phrase Babel.
The tower.
Like
the Tower of Babel. The text to Babel.
You can't understand.
You can't understand. When you climb too high, God gets mad and he gets super jealous and he's like, damn,
Jesus Christ.
Mankind they're getting too far up there. They're getting too big for their britches. We got to knock them down a peg and make them speak other languages.
Listen, don't tell my baby that I don't know what words are.
Wow.
Wooly, I don't know what words are. Can you help me?
Yes. The act of babbling, prattling on even, coming from that one time humanity was too awesome and God couldn't handle it.
Did something too cool.
Right? Made a tower. It was sick. And he's like, nah, languages, confuse them. So that's what happened. It's fine. Now, we take those lemons and we make lemonade out of it. Right? We've got multiple languages that exist across this planet. And you know what? When you learn them, you get to experience traveling in a completely different way. Anytime you know a little bit of the language of the place you're visiting, it accesses and unlocks just a very different experience. People are like, oh, yo, you actually took the time to, grasp the most basic thing here and stuff. What's up? Hey, come on in. It's a polite sign, that you're kind of willing to do a little bit more than expected. That is the best way to learn a language, is to immerse yourself inside the place where a language is spoken. But that's not always possible. So the second best way to learn a language is with Babbel. You can start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. 3
weeks? I have 3 weeks to learn a language.
Right? A lot of people, 1 in 5 Americans apparently, have learned a new language on their bucket list. So you can check that off in this summer. That's even less than that. By speaking a new language using Babbel. As I've described before, it works. It basically has a system where you can learn with real native speakers speaking and pronouncing things correctly. You don't have any AI generated lessons and false pronunciations and situations that aren't real. It's real phrasing for real conversations, things that you're actually going to say and do with people if you did go visit. And they're conversation based. 10-minute lessons you can learn, and they're designed by over 150 language experts as well. So they're designed to help you pick up a new language and start learning in just as little as 3 weeks. As I mentioned last time, it was fun checking out some of that Portuguese as one of the options, but there's tons of places you can go, of course, and I always want to be able to just not front enough so that you say a couple things and they're like, oh, they hit you back with the full blown,
and then you get to stand there dumbfounded because you don't actually know that much.
Yeah, but you can your power level is determined by how much time you got and how much you're looking to get in there. And with over 10 million subscriptions sold, Babble's a real language learning tool for real conversations. 3 weeks. I got 3 weeks. Fuck it. So there's a special limited time offer. Our listeners can get started right now. You can get 55% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners that are using our link at babbel.com/superbeast. That's 55% off at babbel.com/superbeast. It's spelled BABBEL.com/superbeast. Rules and restrictions may apply. I mean, I got to get my Blanca better somehow.
Somehow. That's not going to help you. I don't even know if Blanca can speak Portuguese.
I'm gonna hedge my bets.
Blanca from originally? Is he from Brazil?
I'm pretty
sure. Or
did
he just land in Brazil?
I think he's from Brazil, and I think the plane crashed in Brazil, but I think he's from Brazil. It's just, it was a domestic flight.
Okay, it was a domestic flight.
Yeah, it was a domestic flight.
And if you look out your window, folks, you can see the electric eel jungle, where if you fall into it, you'll become a horrible freak.
With the power to rolling attack, that's pretty cool. Anyways.
His rolling attack shit doesn't even make any sense in its own universe.
Armadillos taught him. Armadillos. It's fine. This week, the podcast is also sponsored by Raycon. If you are trying to get the wires out of your life...
Hey, you know what? Guess what? You know what you don't want wires for? Babies. You know what babies do with wires?
What?
Die.
Damn. That's
Baby
crazy.
looks at a wire, immediately goes, I'm going to wrap this around my fucking neck.
It's almost as if the responsible thing to do would be to get the wires out of your house and to get
away
the wireless tech in. In particular, you also get to enjoy the comfort of the, well-designed, easy earbuds that you can use to tap functions and switch between profiles. They've got noise isolation and awareness mode. You got 32 hours of battery life, 8 hours of playtime. All of that good stuff that, of course, as I've mentioned, has become a staple in this house, as Punch Mom uses them on the regular. She's using them right now.
I have a sneaking suspicion that I will have need of some noise canceling in my near future.
Well, that is noise isolation.
Noise isolation, my mistake.
Is the correct terminology.
Oh, the canceling thing, I've tried that. It hurts my ears anyway.
So you want to get in on some wireless, safer earbuds, and you also want to do it without breaking the bank. So they start at half the price of other premium audio brands, but they sound just as good, and they've got a 30-day happiness guarantee. So you can't really lose. Create your own soundtrack with Raycon right now. Our listeners can get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/superbeast. That's BUYRAYCON.com/superbeast to save 15% on Raycons. Buyraycon.com/superbeast. Thanks, Raycon.
Thanks, Raycon.
Okay. Actually, just before we jump in, hold on, give me a second. BRB. Right. So, I guess just to put a little cap off on the weeks. So for me, I'm gonna be taking the rest of this week off. This podcast excluded. Obviously, I'm here now, but for the recording and stuff, we're gonna be taking a break for the rest of the week. So we could use the rest. We're certainly pretty burnt out, and my throat could use the rest as well. I'm
Enjoy your chill time, bro.
In need of a lozenge. So yes, what up, Susie? I did talk about Evo, and I did talk about how you walked up
The holding court.
Yeah, and holding court. I did. Yes, I told them about how you walked up and I got blown the fuck out, and it was all good. And then we had to yell over the sound of an Irish pub performer whose job it was to damage your ears through decibels, it seemed. So we were like trying to have a nice conversation, but apparently Mid-Valley the Horn Freak was on stage doing his best to assassinate everyone in the bar. So I also lost my voice due to that. Not great. But anyway.
This is apropos of nothing, but I was just scrolling through X and saw a fantastic little story from friend of the show, one Gene Park, who was responding to a question of, you ever have a racist experience, but it was funny?
Oh,
to which
yeah.
he describes that the cops at his campus caught him stealing chairs from the Starbucks. And when they're like, what are you doing? He said, I need this for the math meet. And then they just let him go. And he just stole a bunch of chairs from Starbucks to put on his balcony at his apartment.
That's fucking insane. Oh, Jesus Christ. So, yes, that thread in particular has been going around on Black Twitter. And all kinds of responses have been coming through.
Sometimes it can work in favor.
Yeah, someone who was working in retail, some lady described how a lady walked up to them, and they just and like the worker went, for some reason just went, how can I help you, Rebecca? And to which the lady replied, oh, thanks, Tyrone. Well. And then went into her question. To which is just like, you gotta hold that shit. You started it.
That's great.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah, I feel like the quote tweets for that are a bunch of like just Gran Torino level interactions.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
Okay.
So
So
I'm gonna be off for the rest. Gonna be coming back next week. And before jumping right back immediately into the scheduled World Tour and FF16, which we're gonna do, gonna check out Baldur's Gate. Would you happen to know a thing or two about Baldur's Gate?
I might have another thing or two. Good thing you're going to be taking that week off, because you'll definitely need it to figure out what the fuck you actually want to play as in that game.
Probably a monk. That sounds cool.
It is cool. This is
it's a quick look,
the
by
most
the way, just in case anyone doesn't know and didn't hear before.
Yeah, this is the most stacked game of the year. Like year in many years.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this one though. Like after playing through Remake and 16 and going through a bunch of Tears of the Kingdom and all, it's this one. The best thing that I can say about it is that this is what I thought an RPG was like before I played one as a child. It's one of those things where people who are totally unfamiliar with the genre will go into it and go, yeah, of course that's how it works. Mm-hmm. And then people who are very familiar with the genre go, no, you don't understand. Nothing's ever actually done it properly ever.
Everything is always way more linear than you think. But when you're outside, like when I was explaining RPGs to Punch Mom and she was playing them for the first time, she was like, oh, so you can make every decision and those change the world, right? And
no.
And it's like, no, you're actually very, very much on a path and you can affect between path 1, 2, and 3, but you're going in the same direction. Yeah. How you think games work beforehand is that sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
It also does something. It also does something really smart. I'm gonna kind of ping pong around on this because there's a lot to talk about. It does something really smart. So one of the things that Zelda does really well in Tears of the Kingdom and to a lesser degree Breath of the Wild is there's an internal physics engine in that game, and then things happen the way you think they're supposed to happen, right? So burning something will make hot air, and then you use that or you can connect things with metal, and then that'll allow electricity put in, whatever. And that is how you would expect those things to occur using your own existing knowledge of the way the real world works. For Baldur's Gate 3, you're dealing with Dungeons and Dragons, specifically the Forgotten Realms setting, which is lots of magic, lots of weirdo monsters, lots of zany shit, right? And so you can't just go on common sense for that kind of thing. And so what they do is that every single permutation of every action in the game is extremely clearly explained as to what it actually does and how it actually works. And then within its own context, barring any minor bugs you encounter, it will work the way that you expect it to work. So, for example, you have a generalized set of actions: hide, dash, dip your weapon into a flaming or volatile surface, use an improvised weapon, throw, etc. These things work how you would expect. So when you pick up a barbarian and you unlock the ability to use improvised weapon as a bonus action, and you have a really high strength, and you go, okay, improvised weapon, click on it. This says pick up an item or object in your vicinity and use it to hit something with. Then you pick up a child, because a child is an object in the game with mass. And then you use the child to hit the next child. Okay? There's a shove command. Is the boss standing kind of close to an edge? Boop. Bye.
Which is a very tabletop Dungeons and Dragons things to do, which is find a hilarious solution to a problem.
So the silence spell, right? There's a spell that creates a little circle of silence in which there is no sound, right? And you go, okay, great. This is to stop spellcasters from doing spells, right? No, it creates a zone of silence where it is. You want to put it on a wall that you're planning to blow up with explosives? Silent. You cast it on people that have alarms set up so that they can call reinforcements into the room? Silent. Okay? You early on get speak to dead, speak to corpses, right? You can ask a corpse 3 or 4 questions, right? So you find a corpse out in the wild and you go, hey, you're a dead body, talk to me. And it comes, it's all green and glowing and shit. And it goes, hey. And you go, who are you? And so it's supposed to be 5 questions, but you don't always get all 5. Who are you? You have any valuables? Where were you going? Just typical. Sometimes there are narrative, associated, right? But if you kill someone and then try and talk to their corpse, they won't talk to you because the corpse, the spirit, recognizes that
you killed them.
You're the killer. So what you do is you get a spell cast of disguise self, and you race change into a different person, and then they'll talk to you.
Damn, that's pretty
sick. Because they don't recognize you as the person that killed them.
It has that much complexity contemplated into the system. That's really cool.
Matt Mercer was showing off that he was carrying around 45 barrels and crates in his inventory and used it to just stack up a giant death tower and then leap over a castle wall that he wasn't supposed to be able to. Like,
yeah,
all the rules are there on the page.
Mm-hmm.
Like you there's no confusion over the interactions.
And that sounds way more like the type of shit again you'd say in a paper and pen kind of context instead of like video game systeming to solve the problem, right? You'd come up with something based on the environment and go, what's around? And the DM would be like, oh, there's some crates over there, you know, like, nice. That's very cool.
Yeah. It's
role-playing actually for the
stuff like, hey, there's this massive, early on in the game, there's this massive trap that has like grease on the floor, barrels. It's got a fucking fire shooting everywhere. And you can try and run past it. You can try and disarm the trap, or you can use Mage Hand to just hit the button about 100 feet away that turns it off without risking anyone's lives. If you look at a room full of skeletons and you wonder, hey, are these skeletons going to attack me when I open up the vault or whatever? Walk up to the skeletons and loot them of their armor and their weapons. And then when they get up, they will have no armor and weapons. Because you took them.
That's really awesome.
Just in terms of like
think outside
mechanical
of game,
interaction.
Think outside of linear game logic and use the system for what it allows you to do. Yeah. Almost like a point and click, right? Like a point and click is designed in a way where someone had to sit there and think of what the game should say when you do tries to use the open or push prompt on the object that you wouldn't need to push, you know?
Yeah. So I did something. I had a moment of I'm rarely like this, but I had like an inspired moment in which, Wooly, you have talked up, and I know you love this bit, in KOTOR 2, when you're on Dantooine and the mercenaries are getting ready to raid the farmstead. You can do a wide variety of situations, such as tell the mercenaries you're going to work with them and trick them into knowing that you're on their side, and then mine the whole area, or then play both sides and then reverse it at the last second. There's a lot of that going on. So I went to the big bad fortress and just told the evil character where the good guys were hiding. I just told them. Here they are. I then stole every explosive I could get my hands on in the entire game, and then went to where I thought they would show up and placed them, and then activated the sequence, at which point the entire fucking enemy force just crowded around like 10 bombs, and then I used one of my character's cantrip of Firebolt to kill like 40 enemies in a single strike.
Damn.
Instead of fighting them in the fortress.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just the amount of conceivable narrative interactions is also astonishing. I will describe one encounter in somewhat detail. It's fairly early, but in which you are breaking into somewhere you're not supposed to be. You're probably schmoozing your way in, right? So that people talk to you and they're not aggro. And you discover someone trying to raise a mind flayer from the dead to talk to it, right?
That's no good.
You then realize that you killed that mind flayer in the game's tutorial, and what they are going to ask it is who killed you, because they want whoever killed it to steal something from them. So the game starts to present to you, you have to stop them from asking this mind flayer corpse who killed you, because then they will all turn on you and you're literally surrounded by like 100 enemies. Okay, here's your options. Try and talk your way out of it and make up an excuse to leave. Right? Failed. I failed that deception check. Great. Okay, now I'm stuck here. All right, he cast the spell. What are my options? Okay, well, one of my options is to use my mind flayer bullshit on him and start asking questions with his voice through his body to the corpse so that I ask the wrong questions. I then ask the two wrong question and he goes, "What the fuck? I would never ask that," and almost instantly snaps out of it. And then get through the entire thing by just managing to not ask who killed you, and then the number of questions runs out and he gets fucking super pissed. And then everything's fine, and I've bypassed that encounter. And I bet you for a fucking, I am with a certainty, is that if I had disguised self on when that mind flayer was asked, they would not have recognized my character anyway. Because I was looking different from my fucking character. Like, it is just so... Like, I even did things in the story in goofy orders.
Yeah.
And then the game accounted for it.
So I get, like, because, like, again, I have no idea how the flow of things go. So what you're describing, like, it sounds like in the middle of conversations, you can still do game actions.
Yes, anything that could be potentially relevant whatsoever will show up inside as a dialogue choice. So so here's a really say you want to talk to an animal, right? And there's an animal over there. Put talk to animals on yourself, and then an animal just going honk honk, I'm a fucking geese or whatever, will suddenly become a fully realized character with their own dialogue. And you can ask them to do something or not, or tell you where the fuck anything is.
But once the conversation has started, are you in a, like, conversation tree that, like...
Yeah, you're in a conversation tree. And then your actions will be limited to what would be associated with that.
Okay.
So using your mind control shit, or using appropriate skills, or deciding to take rolls, and then inside the roll, like, it shows roll the dice. At the bottom, it will be like, do you want to add anything you have on your person to this roll? So if you have potions of strength and you're doing a strength check, the potion will be at the bottom of the screen, and you can go, I would like to drink it right before I do my check.
Okay. Because, yeah, for example, when you describe, like, using the silence thing, if it's a moment inside of a conversation where I'm like, oh, I want that on right now, actually, but you're locked in.
No, you would be limited.
You should have used it beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It is just astonishing. Like, I went to an enemy hideout in which a bunch of goblins were having a party. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And discovered that there are like 150 named goblins that all have multiple. Like, you know, when you talk to a character in an RPG and they say the one thing. Every single one of these goddamn goblins has at least two. And there's like hundreds of them in this fucking, like, just fucking ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to somebody else. They're like, oh yeah, I didn't talk to anybody. I snuck in the back and then hung out on the rafters and just fireballed everyone from the roof. Never talked to a single person.
That's really exciting that, like, this is designed as a, yeah, as well, again, not just an RPG, but like you're describing just D&D campaign antics, you know, like that's
yeah.
Because I assume, though, maybe incorrectly, that if you were uncreative and just playing it like I swung my sword to solve the problem and then I spoke,
you'd fight a lot.
And you can just video game your way through it.
You could just human fighter your way through and just solve every problem with your sword.
Okay.
Or you could try like a unique situation on occasion. Right. So I found a captured owlbear being like beat up and like teased by assholes. And they were like, well, why don't you chase the chicken? We'll play chicken chasing. And there's a whole fucking obstacle course to chase the chicken. And what the game wants you to do is, like, you know, like do that thing where you run behind an NPC and then it tries to go away from you and like kind of push it through the thing and you're timed. And I said, no. And so I drank a potion of talking to animals. And then I was like, hey, run through those posts over there. And then they
Okay.
did. And then they beat the time.
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like the personality of your character or how you play them is much more meaningful than just like what your gear and equipment are and how you swing your sword.
Oh
right?
yeah, there's
Like,
a huge variation in race and class options available to you in most conversations. And that is on top of the fact that I am playing as the Dark Urge custom character,
right.
which is the horrific serial murderer that's probably trying to do good or whatever,
Okay.
which has altered nearly every major conversation in the entire game. I was talking to a friend of mine. There is a sequence in which a small child is being threatened by a snake, a evil venomous snake that will kill it if the kid moves. I did not realize that this dialogue option was unique to the Dark Urge character, but the narrator starts telling you about how like hot and bothered you'd be if the kid died. And the first dialogue option that you have available is for you to flick your eyes from the kid to the exit to try and get the kid to run for it so that the snake bites them.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay.
Which they would. And they would die. They talked about how the Dark Urge is like really violent and extremely dark and is not for beginners. And the Dark Urge is extremely violent and dark and not for beginners. Like there is like a Mortal Kombat level of gore associated with just this archetype.
In your fantasies and moments that happen like that.
No, in the reality.
Okay. But doesn't that mean that if you don't pick it, you have to pick a pre-canned character?
No. You make your own guy.
Or a pre-canned... Wasn't Dark Urge the answer
the
to...
The default is a completely custom character, which you would pick your race, your class, your sub-race, and then your background, which would be something like criminal or acolyte or charlatan or soldier or noble.
What was the part that was how Dark Urge is a new thing for like your original background versus there's a preset list of backgrounds?
The party members that you get early in the game, you can choose to play them as they are. So if you want the elf guy on the box, Asterion, if you want to, you can just play as him.
Right.
And then he will have his own story beats that are unique to everyone else's. Right. That have to do with more like a personal quest. Dark Urge is another pre-canned character. The difference is that you can customize their class and how they look and stuff like that.
And so I guess because when we were talking about this the first time, I think from the way it used to be in older games, I guess it would be that you could still do that with all these other characters, but the main custom character did not have their own associated backstory.
Yeah, so in this, your custom guy will have their own backstory that is partially in your own head, but it is going to be on part of your background, which is like, are you a criminal or a career soldier or what have you? And then the game will play into that by offering you rewards and story beats for that background. So, for example, if you pick Urchin, which is like beggar, as your background, when a bunch of shit-headed kids try and steal from you, you can have advantages to not being pickpocketed and instead talk to them in like thieves' cant and try and get in on their racket, which is available only to people with that background.
Okay, so it used to be that then your OC was just like a passive observer in these other main characters' stories.
In what
up to
game?
The end of the in previous Baldur's Gates?
Okay, well, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, those games came out in 98 and 2000.
Okay.
Because your character, like, those games are old. They worked like old games. You had what you would expect of a typical series of choices, but your character in Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 was like a set character with a set backstory.
Okay, then I think I misunderstood the first conversation about, like, I guess Dark Urge existing versus before it existed, and what that fully meant.
No, yeah, Dark Urge is a character with its own story and its own background and its own like quests, but you can customize the way it looks, and you can customize if it's a lady or a man, or you can customize this or that. Whereas, like, if you want to play as Karlach, she's always going to be a tiefling. She's always going to have the same voice actor. She's always going to be a lady. She's always going to be red.
God, I'm stupid. So just my last question here. That character you described is someone your custom character is going to meet, and then you switch to control them, and then you do their story.
No.
Okay.
So everyone you don't play as, you will eventually encounter in the game.
Okay.
So on the character select, at the top it's custom. And then underneath it lists origin characters that have like defined storylines.
Okay.
Right? And then there's Asterion, Karlach, Will, Shadowheart, etc. And then the last one on that list is Dark Urge.
Okay.
If you pick Dark Urge, they come with their own predefined story.
Right.
But you can choose how the character looks, and you can change their class, and you can change this.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
I didn't understand whether it was like you pick this character, this NPC, not you pick one of these from the outset versus you meet them later and they join you and then you're doing the story.
The difference with Dark Urge is that Dark Urge will not be in your party.
Right.
Probably because they're a psychotic serial murderer.
Okay.
They are probably in the last act of the game. There was a preview storyline called Blood in Baldur's Gate that I think they're in the city doing evil shit. But yeah, no, I'm playing as Dark Urge, and it is a blast. You run into people, and the narration is like, why don't you pull their arms off? And then sometimes you pull their arms off, and then you feel better.
Yeah, this would explain why the character creator, like, when I was talking about it, how I was like, oh, it feels like it, like, no body types and things like that. Like, all the things that you would associate with, making your, I mean, I guess MMO or even other kind of action-oriented game character design would give you, like, which one of these action-oriented spells and stats do you want to roll with. And here, there's, like, I noticed from just looking at them that there's some action-oriented things, but there's a whole lot of, like, completely non-action-oriented.
What you would expect would be superfluous details.
Exactly. Conversational things and, observational things and passive things and Disco Elysium style stats and things like that. Yeah, so that being a part of it means, like, okay, it's because the complex way in which you have all these interactions layered on top of each other has to have a limit somehow. So here it's focused more on those things instead.
I would personally recommend that for everybody who is starting the game off or not super familiar with this genre or not streaming it, to not play the Dark Urge first, as there are super violent murders that you cannot stop your character from doing.
You just have to mitigate when you give in, I believe.
There are some that are just going to happen. And there are some that appear to be like, you can do this or you can do that, which would not be an issue for... So I have a sneaking suspicion that playing Dark Urge is going to give me situations like kill everybody in this whole town or else.
Okay, now the thing is as you're saying I recommend this is for people who've played or experienced, you're also describing the coolest part about this narrative and how different it is from other game narratives, and it sounds incredibly interesting. So
yeah, absolutely.
What you need to do are the other backstories equally as compelling in different ways? Because that shit sounds rad, and you're like, don't do it.
All of the origin characters are trading player choice for authored content, right? So dealing with your evil goblin butler who tells you that he loves murder and you should keep doing murder is obviously only for Dark Urge, right? However, dealing with that character necessarily precludes talking to the character that you had to murder to talk to him. Because the character that you horribly, viciously murder outside of player control is a character you can hang out with and talk to for much of the game.
Right. Okay. Okay. So it adds this. Yeah, it's a chaotic element.
You're trading things.
Right.
Essentially. Right. You are trading. I would like less ability to choose, and instead you're saying I would like slightly more authored content. However, the baseline character with custom is basically going to have the widest player choice of any situation.
Okay. Now, the other thing too is that the lens of playing this game, you know, for the entirety of its super long duration and on your own and such, and is a very different thing versus what we do as content creators. But I know that one thing I said early on from the jump is like not getting too caught up in the like conclusions of the actions that you like decide or roll with. However the game rolls the dice, you roll with the punches. That's the only way to go through something like this, especially if I'm just kind of like trying it out and seeing what it's like. So I guess all that is to say that like the things that you would be worried about as a first timer in a general normal context, me personally, I'm not, because I'm rolling with whatever happens, you know.
That's how I feel. Like if
I'm open to whatever, because like the whole thing is to woolly overthink about how to do the perfect. Yeah, I can't, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just gonna let the game take me where it's gonna, you know.
Like if I'm in a situation in which the narrative takes me to a place where I have to kill every single person I know in that game, I'm streaming it, so fuck it, let's go. Though I cannot possibly say enough that for anybody who doesn't like being railroaded into choices and missing out on things, you should really, really play a fully custom character right away and not do this, because the game will take control away from you and do things for you that you may not want to do, which is kind of the storyline of the whole character, which is you may or may not want to actually do anything, but then oopsie murder. Like, does that make sense?
So fully custom, it completely lets go of the rails, and it's
So you would have a wider variety of things to do.
Okay, so that sounds, I guess, the most D&D-ish, you know.
Yes.
Does it? I guess my question is, like, when you kind of do it that way, are you kind of yes-anding in the sense that if the game asks you something and you answer it, is it assuming are you answering in a way that is like inventing what you are?
What? What does that mean?
I mean, if you have a custom character that's not railroading you into any of these decisions that you're describing,
right?
What replaces that narrative? Okay.
I don't. What?
I don't.
What?
I think I just need to. Never mind. I just need to play it and see what it is, because we're talking
like
about
you
things
would,
I
you
literally
would have chosen. You would have chosen your race. You would have chosen your class. You would have chosen your background.
Yeah, the role playing aspect.
You would be an elf, sorcerer, charlatan, and so this means that when you go into certain dialogues, it would activate the charlatan tag or the elf tag or the sorcerer tag, and then accommodate you thus. So your background would be, oh, I'm a charlatan, so you would get dialogue options that deal with tricking people or being an asshole in your former career.
Let me phrase this another way. I think I have it, but again, I'm an idiot, so fuck me. Every interaction you can have in this game, is it that there is a generic version and then a special backstory associated version that might be applicable if you are in that mode? So you pick a character that's a part of, like you said, a band of thieves or so, and so you associate with that group in a unique way because you have passed with them. Versus if you're not and you're just doing a generic interaction, then it becomes the default across the board.
Yes and no. Okay, so there's a
If that makes sense.
There's a point in which a Satan tries to offer you a deal, right? Literal devil horn man, fucking whatever, right? If you are playing a completely custom character, you will have the slate of options to talk to him, to maybe accept his deal, ask him questions whatsoever, right? If you are Dark Urge, you have some of your options have been swapped out for, dude, can you maybe cure me of this horrible murder freak shit? If you are playing as Will, who is a warlock, you would have dialogue associated with the fact that you are this player character that is as a warlock associated with that. So like the custom character is a blank slate.
Therefore, every interaction becomes the first version of what you described, whereas specific characters would get the second or
modified
third for the specific groups of people that they have that with. Right. That's okay. That's
and so then that's where your background or your race, your class comes in, where the conversation will activate and go, oh, this person is a acolyte.
Okay.
Right. And so then you will load into the acolyte version of the conversation.
Right. Now, are there characters who literally will exist or not exist at all depending on what you've chosen? Like, for example...
Yes.
Okay.
There's at least one.
Okay.
The evil butler for the Dark Urge is only talks to Dark Urge.
Okay. Great. Okay. Got it. So that
honestly, more than the background is your race and your class show up much more often. Like one of the first interactions you can have is pulling a wizard out of a portal he got stuck in. And if you're a sorcerer, you can make fun of wizards because they're nerds and they can't just do it by themselves.
Okay, got it. What I was poorly asking before was because I didn't understand that there's two layers to every character. There's the I don't know you version and the I do know you version, right? And then and essentially like no, and so that clarifies the rest of it. It's like, okay, you can just play the no one knows you version, and that's your custom thing. Yeah,
I have to say it's actually like very frustrating talking to people because they made the Dark Urge character that has, you know, a custom race and a custom look and all that, because most people go, oh, well, that's the version that you can customize that's more content. It's like, no, it's not more content, it's different content. It in fact will take away little pieces of the game because it is authored. Right. Similarly, if you play as Asterion or you play as Karlach, like you play as Karlach, yeah, you'll get more details about her devil bullshit and the engine inner chest and all that stuff. But that removes some of the base options from the game that you wouldn't be able to deal with because you have that backstory. So like when you pick Dark Urge, you get a custom background that is Haunted One. Right. And it's like listed in your character sheet. Okay. When you pick Asterion, he has the charlatan background. When you play as Shadowheart, you get the acolyte background, something like that. I would say the vast majority of this game's content can't be seen on Trip 1. Like there are just too many permutations of events and events done in specific orders and whatnot.
Once you do actually start a fight, what, I guess, does the combat look like? Or
have you not seen it? Okay,
no,
so
I know nothing.
Everybody rolls initiative, and then the turn order pops up at the top of the screen, and then you have you'll grab a character's turn, and then you will be able to you move either the mouse cursor or the oh, fuck it. It's XCOM. It's just XCOM.
XCOM. Okay.
It's just XCOM with free movement instead of a grid.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's way faster. It's just XCOM.
I remember that. Yep. Okay.
It's absolutely fucking stellar.
Cool.
It is absolutely surprising and amazing. And I think one of the people in my chat said it yesterday, was like, it is the first game in a while that I'm like kind of like excited the whole time. Like, over and over and over and over. Every single thing I encounter, I'm like, ooh! Like, just the massive, wide variety of just interesting situations that you are constantly dealing with.
Yeah, something I did see someone say somewhere was that, like, it really rewards you for meandering in random directions and just and like inquiring and seeing what's going on instead of trying to hit your checkpoints and push the train forward. And that sounds fucking awesome for the way I love to play games.
Okay. I have a perfect interaction to explain to you how the background thing works. Right? I encountered a magic mirror that I did not know how to get through because it was blocking my way in. Right? It was like one of those magic mirrors that talks to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm playing a half orc, I had the option to just threaten it Unga style and be like, if you do not let me in, I will smash you to bits. This is an intimidation check explicit to orcs only. So only if I'm running a half orc with high charisma and intimidation proficiency is this a good idea, right? I do it. The mirror goes, yeah, okay, fine, and lets me through. And that's not a dark urge option. That's
that's a race based.
That's a race option, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When I did that, Asterion got an inspiration point for defeating the mirror, and I realized that if Asterion had been the one to try and deal with the mirror, it would have been a completely different interaction because he's a fucking vampire and it can't see him.
Okay. And you can control them and you can lead that, and so you can make that happen.
Yeah.
Right. So who does what also is a huge difference as well. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you can swap over to a different party member. Like, you know, you swap to whoever picks locks.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to look at some magic bullshit, you can switch to the wizard and whoever has high intelligence.
And then I guess besides those two, there's just, hey, I'm some rando looking at this mirror. And that's a series of
I just want to get in.
Normal options right there. Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
You can also talk to people and then switch to a different party member who would not be locked into the conversation, and then do things in that area while the NPC is locked in the conversation. So one of the easier tricks is that if you can't get an NPC to look away from something, go talk to them, and then they will lock in, and then you can pickpocket them when they're looking in the weird direction.
Okay. Yeah, no, a million
also, I would like to clarify, somebody in the chat made a great point. It's not a random person, it's the main character. They just have your authored backstory instead of the game.
The OC that you've put into this world. Yes. Not a random, right. Yeah. A million other questions and shit I have are just, like, answered simply by fucking, like, playing the thing. So, I'll wait for that.
It is the first game that I have streamed in a long time that I am, like, sitting here going, like, I should just start a second save that's just mine, and just so I'm playing it all the time. And then I'm looking over at my wife like, hey, when the baby's asleep, we should start a co-op campaign. And then I played FF14 with my buds on Sunday, and then as soon as we were done, 4 of them jumped into their own co-op campaign, and I was watching that for 45 minutes as they got their ass rocked by an owlbear.
And I guess the last thing I was wondering is, like, doing this and then going back to the early access version that you played a while ago. Did you see any of that content?
So when I played the early access version, I played it the day it came out, and like the next day and the next day, and I played for about 10 hours total, and then I hit like level 3 or 4 or something, and I went, wow, this thing is huge. And then I checked and saw that the early access version was like the entirety of the first act of the game, and went, wow. And then I'm like, I'm going to stop here because I want to play this game when it is out. And so I did see some of that. Some of it's significantly different. Like the whole tutorial got completely redone. But it is basically just really improved and a lot more polished. It's still not perfect. I mean, they put out the second hotfix while we were talking, which fixed like a wide variety of bugs, including penis C and penis D clipping through your pants if you're a GIF.
So there's a streamer mode option then on the settings.
Yes, there is.
Wonderful.
You turn off. You can turn off nudity, and you can turn off explicit sexual content.
Fantastic.
And the game's got a memory leak, so if you run it for more than 6 hours, you should restart the game. And like, there's a bug where you can't multi-class rogue after 2 range or low. You know, it's a video game that's coming out in the year of our Lord 2023, but they've already made extraordinary progress on tuning it up. Like there's a couple minor bugs that I've encountered and like written up and sent to Larian on the controller support. But that's to be expected because the real controller support doesn't need to be there until 4 weeks from now when the console version comes out.
Yeah, I gotta see how the controller works as well.
So here's the fun thing about the controller support. It does some things much worse than mouse and keyboard, and it does some things much, much better than mouse and keyboard. It is weirdly easier to manage your inventory on a controller. That's something I didn't expect. And it's a lot better to move your character with a controller. It is more annoying to pick your skills on a controller.
Okay.
Like it's really a coin flip depending on your preference.
Well, picking things like time doesn't really matter, right? It's all turns, so
Oh yeah. In fact, not only is it all turns, when you're playing the game, it's taking place in real time, so people are walking. But if you have to do something really fine-tuned and specific, you can go into you can hit a button and turn it into turn-based mode, like just out and about. So if you want to do some complicated interaction, like I don't know, pick a lock when no guards are looking, you can turn it into turn-based mode where turns take 6 seconds and make sure that you're not being rushed.
When you're outside of combat, you mean?
Yeah. So let's say you're not in combat and you want to throw down a barrel in front of a merchant, have your character run away, and have a third character shoot it with fire to blow them up, right? That is a complicated series of actions to do in real time. So what you do is you turn it to turn-based mode, and then you put the barrel down, then you have that character move their max distance, then you move to your next character and do it, and it all happens functionally instantaneously.
And like so you set up your moves in like stopped time, and then
yeah, basically, yeah.
And then the when it's and then okay. Okay, so yeah, more like
that
more
in
like a time stop instead of
easy.
Switching over to the opponent's turn or whatever. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And like usually you can ambush anybody in that thing because they're not even going to have turns until you
like the word something. Turn implies now it's you, but it's not. It's a stop time, resume time actually. Yeah, okay. Gotcha. All right, cool.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, and most of your questions would be like experientially explained by doing rather than explaining, because like there's only so far I can get away with like the implicit understanding from having played. Because like you dodged like not just like games of this genre. Like I don't think you played like Skyrim or
no a whole lot of things and those the the gaps in my knowledge it tend to infuriate a lot of people as I try to figure out and get my bearings here, and I can only do what I ask the questions to the best of my ability. But regardless, I'm like, okay, anything else I want to know, I'll just play it and we'll find it out. There's no need to. I would say that the best thing about this is that it requires less abstraction for people unfamiliar with the genre. Right? So cool. Like CRPGs have had this problem for a long time where you're like, ooh, like I'll use the silence spell. I have a silence spell. What weird zany situations can I get up to this? And the answer is you can use it in combat to turn off casters. Right? Because the game is still like fairly rigidly defined. Mm-hmm. This is like the Breath of the Wild of the CRPG, where it's like, does it seem like it should work? It's probably going to work the way you think it is. Sick. I expect to think of some creative solutions which will not work, but a variation of that idea kind of will work, and then we'll go with that instead. That's what I'm kind of expecting. Yeah. And
I saw somebody do something that I had never anticipated, which was you can pick up the corpses of enemies and put them in your backpack. And so they were carrying around a bunch of dead imps in their barbarian's backpack so that the necromancer would have corpses on hand to cast their necromancy spells.
That's fantastic. Hell yeah. I guess the only other thing is I'm like, how much of that is you pulled that idea out of the blue versus the HUD suggested it to you, you know?
Well, the main thing is that like when the spell descriptions are where you're going to get most of your zany effects, mm-hmm. And they're very clear, right? They will say something like removes fall damage. Featherfall, the very classic spell, removes fall damage. So if there's no fall damage and you see what appears to be a infinite pit, maybe it's not an infinite pit and you won't get hurt jumping down with Featherfall. Mm-hmm. So go see what's down there.
And like the idea of putting a corpse in your backpack, I guess implies that like a corpse on the ground to begin with has a button that you can click that says put it in your item space.
Yes.
Which, why
you hit
why would that ever be a thing?
Square or X, and it gives you the list. And
yeah, that's
open, examine, pick up, etc. Yeah.
That's what because I'm like, in any video game, that's just a corpse on the ground. Like, why would there even be anything remotely resembling? Put that in your So yeah. Okay. Cool.
I don't know if you can blow people up by putting like grenades in their inventory. Someone in the chat could probably let me know, because that's a thing that you can do in some games where you can put poison or like bombs in people's inventories, and the game goes, okay, did you pickpocket a bomb into this person's inventory? No reverse pickpocketing? Bummer.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else of note?
Nope.
What's the schedule?
That's the game. That's the one. I'll be playing this until January of next year. I do have one piece of advice for people, though. Actually, no, I do have more to talk about. One piece of advice. So paladins have an oath system in this game, in which your class, part of your class selection, is...
There's two types I saw.
There's three. There's devotion, which is goody two shoes paladins. Ancients, which is nature, hippy dippy paladins, and then there's vengeance paladins, who are about the greater good, right? And the greater good under this context means that if a bad guy is getting away, you are well within the realm of your oath to jam the wheels of their wagon with a child's body, because it'll help you serve out justice, right?
Gotcha.
If you break your oath, you lose your powers and then transition into the Oathbreaker class, which is a separate version of Paladin. I wanted to play Oathbreaker, but I wanted to play Vengeance first. If you want to play Oathbreaker, don't pick the Vengeance Paladin. I tried for multiple days to break my oath and found it extremely difficult. Extremely difficult to break, like, very tough. Vengeance Paladins get away with all sorts of shit. So if you want that Oathbreaker, you want to pick one of the goody two shoes ones, and then just stab one person.
Knowing that so much of this game is gonna be like the how you do things and not just like, again, which spice of combat flavor you want to sprinkle. Something like when I talk about like wanting to do like hand to hand, and like monk is like good for that and stuff. It kind of makes me like, I guess I'll take a look at again to see what the launch version of these things are going to be like. But if there's, you know, more interesting things to do that are not combat related coming from other classes and things, it makes those more appealing in some cases, because if you want to, like, I punching things is really cool, but also if you're not going to solve things that way most of the time, or if you're going to try to solve things in more interesting ways and have more fun with that system, why not lean into that?
Yeah, so like I'll give you an example with Barbarian. It's the easiest one. I think I described it to you last week, where there's a puzzle in which you have to figure out the runes to open a door, and everyone has to do the puzzle. But the Barbarian, because they're maximum Unga, just gets the choice to go, what if I just tried to pull the door right the fuck off?
Right.
All classes get shit like that is appropriate to the class fantasy.
Okay.
Right? I also, like, there's so many fucking goofy interactions in this game. Say you have a potion of haste, right? You drink a potion of haste, potion of speed. All right, good. You now have haste for 10 turns, which is incredible, by the way. Amazing, right? You're like, wow, that's really great. I wonder if there's anything else I can do. Well, if you drop the potion of haste on the ground and group your party member around it and attack it with a weapon, you'll smash the bottle and the potion will splash on everyone next to it, and they will all get haste.
That's
what we're talking about.
Okay. Jesus Christ. There's like 15 things there that are not what video games do. Wow.
So you can use the throw command like a Final Fantasy ninja to throw like bullshit you don't want to hurt enemies. You can, if your strength is high, you can throw with a high degree of accuracy. If your athletics is high, you can throw potions at people. So if you're like, oh man, Gale is fucked up. He's at like 1 HP. I'm playing a very physically strong athletic character, so I just whip potions at his head. And here's the kicker. The fucking potion does a hit of damage first before the heal kicks in.
Right.
Because you're smashing the glass into their face.
Okay. That's an interesting detail of the world that you have to, I guess, know or discover, that people don't have to drink things for them to be affected by them. They just need to touch them. That potions, I assume, need to be drunk, you know?
I saw a video of somebody who couldn't figure out how to get on top of a building, and they didn't have teleport. So what they did is they had the druid turn into a cat, and then the barbarian picked them up and whipped them over the top of the building.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hell yeah. That's a D&D right there. Mm-hmm.
Like,
fastball special.
It's just tons and tons of cool little interactions that just do things. It's a cool game.
Nice.
You should play it.
I'm going to.
It's like the 6th most played game on Steam ever. Why am I doing that?
What happened? All right.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We're gonna plug that shit in, and we do it. And obviously, I mean, I've said it like multiple times at this point, but yeah, it supports co-op. We're gonna fucking play co-op. Obviously,
it does support co-op.
I'll for sure. That's
also, if you do play co-op, I would recommend to everyone that you play fully custom characters, because a custom player character, a player character cannot talk to another human person. Like whoever the people are controlling cannot interact with dialogue
with each other.
because
Okay.
there would be 1 billion variations of every interaction conceivable. So,
But we can still switch.
Yeah, you can still switch, but whoever you're playing as can't talk to whoever they're playing as, right? So play as customs so that both of you can talk to all of the party members.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it would also kill the fun of us getting to.
Yeah. The
like,
only thing
roleplay.
you're really missing out on is the banter of you guys wandering around. So like when I have 3 people in my party, they're complaining about demons, or they're talking about goblins, or whatever.
Oh, but there aren't going to be the NPCs that are following around.
Oh, they'll still talk. They'll just have the 2-person version of the conversation instead of the 3-person.
Instead of the 3. Okay, cool. Yeah, sick.
Yeah, cool game.
What else is going on?
Nothing.
Okay.
I clean poop off of my baby, and I feed the baby, and then I play Baldur's Gate, and then think about Baldur's Gate.
Sorry, you said you had something else to talk about, so I was, yeah.
It was more Baldur's Gate.
It was more Baldur's Gate.
Is what it was.
Okay. Whoops.
It was the potion thing.
Gotcha. All right. Stay tuned for Baldur's Gate 3. What's going on in the news? Couple things. We got a couple of announcements, and yeah, I guess I'll get to some of the Evo stuff a little bit later. One, a fan game called Twin Peaks Into the Night has just released a trailer.
Ooh.
And
I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, and it appears to be a retro, but better than retro, fake retro style PS1 adventure game sort of setup, and it looks pretty cool. It's a demo, I think, that's also playable now. But yeah, just take a look at this if you're a Twin Peaks fan, which I know all of you are. Looks very cool.
That's funny because when you type in Twin Peaks Into the Night, what comes up is the song Into the Night from Twin Peaks, which is the really spooky, creepy noise that plays when they're doing spooky, creepy shit.
Yeah, I don't know that it's a full ass. Well, it's a demo for now. I don't know if there's intentions to I guess over time do a full thing, but yeah, that seems dope. Check the trailer out.
Wow, this looks super cool.
Mm-hmm.
And also jank as fuck.
It's so you're seeing old Alone in the Dark style camera angles and stuff, but you're seeing these detailed photo
oh man, they've
faces.
Recreated the sets. That's weird.
The low poly models with human faces is a very strange but interesting art style. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Check it out. Other things going on. I mean, I was just I caught this on the way back home, but apparently the Armored Core 6 demo in Japan has some fucking rad shit happening if you're waiting in line to play it, because the only way to get your hands on the game right now is to play the demo at Hakata, where people are lining up from 7:30 in the morning to get a chance to play the game at noon. And
yeah, because robots, man.
And so on and so forth. So people are lining up, and of course, because everyone there is super in and like-minded, we're getting a tweet thread reporting that apparently, so it started with, a guy who came from overseas just to play the Armored Core 6 demo earned the title The Migrating Raven of Hakata, while another was drinking in the waiting line, and he earned the title The Super Dry of Hakata, which is super dry.
I love this.
Booze. Right. Every demo play session seems to spawn legends, such as the Chicken Walker of Umeda or the Quad Legs of Akihabara. One guy clearing it with an injured arm was called the Sekiro of Hiroshima. 3 people in a row clearing it were called the Tri-Stars of Nagoya. These are not fabricated.
I love this.
People who were waiting in line witnessed their skills and naturally came up with these titles. This is how legends are born. Amazing. Damn. The energy of like Armored Core fans doing this all together and while waiting in line is so fucking sick. Yeah, and
you're waiting in line for hours and hours and hours for a high-speed robot game. You're gonna get up to this exact shit.
Yeah, and just exactly the X of Y as a naming convention is always gonna sound awesome. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just like that. That's powerful right there. Shout outs to. Let me pull it up real quick. Steel Ball Runner on Twitter reporting this story coming in. Fun stuff, man. Good fans coming together to do some good shit. That's the type of shit where like you would hope the final game would hear about it and put in like a little like title or, you know, a little like nod some way in like a small way to some of that stuff. So yeah, you got that. You got Twin Peaks. And also small announcement, but if you are a fan of Radiant Silvergun, it's coming to PC August 18th.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
Radiant Silvergun is actually coming out on like something? Like a real thing?
Cop that shit because it's cool. It's the same team, G-Rev, that made Ikaruga. It's the game they made right before it, and it's very good. It's a good shmup. So I
feel so bad for the dudes whose like high grade pristine copies of that game are about to become super worthless.
Well, I mean, I think the collectors are still going to want their Sega Saturn copies, and you know, like a re-release of like Metroid Prime Trilogy, for example, or any of the Metroid Primes. If in terms of access, yeah, people can now play the thing. But if you're a collector of the fucking briefcase for Elemental Gearbolt, that's still an insane collector's item, regardless of availability. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Now a bigger story, but it's not even that big because it's really just a repeat of what tends to be the case. Is Square Enix has said they're going to focus on less mid-sized titles and more on AAAs going forward. The focus strategy will take several years to impact, and this is really just, you know, we're going to see this every time, right? We're going to see it with the Capcom test into the sales projections on Devil May Cry 4, and honestly, we've been around, we've been doing this for so long that I'm like, okay, who cares? Whatever, fine. You know, you're going to leave space for other smaller studios that want to make mid-sized titles to come in and do cool shit, then fine. That's no problem. There's no shortage of awesome indie things doing stuff in that smaller size. And, you know, you look at what Square has been doing and, you know, they're kind of, you imagine they're looking at it and going, yeah, it's cool when Triangle Strategy and Octopath Traveler get us street cred and people are happy, but that's not going to pay the bills for us. We need to make bigger investment appeasing deals and whatever. So everything's got to hit like an FF7R or an FF16. But then maybe not even, because FF16 apparently they're like, oh, we wanted it to sell even more than it did, and
sold 3 million copies in a week, dude.
Yeah, it's wild, right? But the AAA barrier here, it's like, okay, so Nier, right? Replicant didn't sell Automata numbers, but it still sold really well for like a remake of an old game, which I think Yoko Taro was saying like, oh, this is not going to sell at all because it's an old game, but then it went on to sell like 1.5 like right away, and so it was like, yeah, there's things that hit like that, but then you're going to have your Babylon's Falls, your Forspokens, your Outriders, you know, your Guardians of the Galaxy, your Avengers, and they're just going to look, they're just kind of, they're doing that thing they always do, which is investors are upset. How do we appease them? We got to say some things to calm them down, and this is the bullshit that you get. It's so weird because like
they sent out like a dozen small scale games to die. They released them all right next to each other with no marketing, Do you remember that? It was like, oh god, what month was it? I feel like it was last year in like September, October, November, where like just it was like all these like lower budget games just came out like within weeks of each other over and over. Tactics Ogre was like right next to something else.
Yeah. It's we've been saying it for 10 fucking years now, but just this like door mark system of like, you know, measuring height in a way where, okay, so FF15 was the fastest selling entry in the series because it shipped and sold 5 million in the first day, right? Holy shit, incredible. FF16 doesn't do that. It still sells 3.5 million in the first week. But or rather, no, hold on. Yeah, 3 million. FF7R with 3.5 million in the first week. Amazing, like really good numbers, but they didn't hit that mark we hit for FF15, therefore this is below expectations. Motherfucker, that was across multiple platforms, right?
I still think that
the 16 you're talking about exclusive and or at least timed or whatever, but they're still treating it the same as like, nope, doesn't matter. Didn't hit the number, it's considered a failure, even though it's like a massive success in that, you know, by any other metric.
I've brought this up a lot, and it's really strange because marketing people and investor people in video games very specifically, this only really applies to video games, don't understand the single best piece of marketing you can do for your game is
word of mouth.
That the last one was really good. But it's too late because the last one came out years ago and you can't undo that. So I used Resident Evil. RE4 sold a lot of copies. As a result, RE5, which is not as good as RE4, sold even more copies, especially because it was on multiple platforms. And then RE6, which is terrible, was coming off the back of RE4 and 5, and so RE6 was the best-selling Resident Evil game of all time for years. And then when RE7 came out and was actually really good, it didn't sell shit compared to RE6. And Capcom was like, we're back to horror. How could this be? It's because people bought RE6 a couple years ago and they were like, wow, Resident Evil sucks. I'm going to be more careful with my purchasing decisions.
There was also a power gap in time.
Because 7 was good, 8 sold really well, and so did RE2 Remake. Whoa! Because people had consumer confidence in the logo you put on the game. It's why Nintendo games always sell 100 zillion copies. Because you go, hey, it's a new Mario Kart. You know what was good? The last Mario Kart.
And what if the last Mario Kart wasn't good?
It was! It was good!
Dude, it's tired. And I'm tired. And so I just go, all right, great. Focus on AAAs. Check out. Do your thing. Make the investors happy. And lay in the cut. We'll catch you in 5 years' time. In the meantime, please allow space for things like Dredge and Stasis Bone Totem and Signalis to just come along and fill these spaces that are like, yep, doesn't have to be AAA. Still a great use of your money and time. You know, just fuck it. Who cares? If they don't want to do that, then whatever. They'll adjust. They'll do it. Someone will come along somewhere and disrupt what their current strategy is with a really big success, and then they'll fucking shift gears again because they're fickle like that. These the moment you kind of realize how these things are linked to appeasing investors, the more it's like, yeah, this is what they believe until they don't, you know? Anyway. Chalk it up to the same commitment to NFTs and
fucking
all the other shit, right? So anyway,
Eiji and Ifune fucking coming back from the dead to fucking show more NFTs.
we got. So yeah, a bunch of stuff was announced at Evo, obviously, fighting game weekend. So we got to check out Johnny coming to Guilty Gear Strive. There he is. You know, the faves are going to make their way in at some point. And he looks like Johnny. He sounds like Johnny. He's doing his thing. Alongside some big system changes as well. That, like, basically just watching it, I was like, that's Johnny. Here he is. Looks cool.
All matches must now take place more than 100 meters away from your local school.
The system update also came with everyone's getting new moves, and there's 2 new systems. One of them is Blitz Shields, which is from Exerd, essentially, and the other one is Drive Rush. We've added Drive Rush to the game. So,
that's pretty funny.
There you go. You want to get in? Here's your get in button. Yeah.
Think of Guilty Gear characters as characters that have trouble getting in.
Well,
they're going in.
They're going in. The game's offense is pretty solid, but let's fuck it up even harder, and let's give you a defensive option that'll cover most of your... It's almost like parry in that it covers mix-ups, but you just have to time it properly. So if you do the new defensive option, high-low overheads and such will all be counterable, but it's all in your timing. Yeah. It's certainly, exactly, Potemkins and characters that otherwise like are slower on that horizontal movement are going to benefit heavily. Should be interesting. Then finally, we got to see an original character in Tekken, Azucena, the Peruvian coffee queen. And man, that's fucking cool. So right off the bat, looks awesome. Won't stop talking about coffee. Is advertising coffee in the middle of her fights, turning to the camera. Holy shit, she will not stop talking about coffee. And her colorful outfit and style and everything she's doing is just oozing personality, exploding with it. Very, very fun.
Coffee is for.
And it turns out that representing Peru, this is likely a character that's based around, what was it? Takanakuy. Takanakuy is a...
real person?
No, a tradition in the mountain villages of Peru, where on December 25th, everyone dresses up, drinks, and settles their beefs in public. And you see people all like dressed colorfully and swinging like feats of strength for Festivus. And it's amazing.
That sounds like the kind of cultural tradition that would come from a place where it is mandatory to pound stimulants all day.
That
sounds
so
like
good.
A bunch of coffee drinkers invented that.
So fucking good. I retweeted it. Check out the pictures, and you're just seeing like, yup, everyone's surrounding in a circle, and two ladies in brightly dressed outfits or 2 dudes in brightly dressed outfits are just fucking swinging to settle their beefs. If you got someone to call out, you call them the fuck out. Let's get loaded up and do it on Christmas. It's so cool.
That's great.
Yeah, man. So if that's what she's based on, that is awesome. And then just to add to the sickness of the design, you have finally another character that has dodges baked into her moveset.
Yeah.
She's doing like she has these moments where she kind of, you swing at her and then she'll lean back Steve Fox style, or she'll jump over lows as well. It's like, it's not just the upper body, it's like full high low stuff. But it seems like it's not like in Steve Fox's case, you have to press the dodge button to manually time it. For her, it looks like she goes into a counter stance, and
there's like a pop when someone swings on her.
the description that was on the Japanese tweet was kind of saying that, like, yeah, you go into like a counter stance, and then if someone swings, then she does one of those proper dodges, which looks so dynamic and fun. I remember even before, like, besides Steve Fox, I've talked about loving all the time. There's the idea of in the way Shikamaru would block in that early Naruto game on GameCube, where instead of blocking your attacks, he dodged each one because he was like outsmarting you in a way. Azucena ducking under your grabs and then like sidestepping, and she's dancing around Hao Rong's kicks, you know, and like it just looks so fun and dynamic. And then eventually like dodge into a counter, jumps on, flips off of you. She looks really, really great right off the bat. So I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Thank God it's not just all returning again. Like, show off some new shit that's exciting. This is for me. This is it. She looks great. Yes, and how wrong is the wrongest way to pronounce that name, except for when the announcer in the game says how wrong wins.
I hate it.
That's what he says.
I hate it.
They're like, I guess it's how wrong from now on.
I guess that's how it is.
Yeah. So, also, from what I understand, there was a leak list that had Peruvian coffee lady on it.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, I guess that is confirmed. There's another newcomer coming. And then Harada also confirmed that, they're like, how many children does Heihachi have? And he's like, around 18 to 25 illegitimate children. Of course. I will confirm 9. So, once wifey died, Heihachi's been fucking.
Yeah. So it's like, it was always going to happen. Hey, if Heihachi died for realsies, then a character that is highly similar to Heihachi must be added to the game.
Damn. That is like a true Jamaican. Heihachi's out there just spreading it.
Yeah, real
World Warrior. We will see. We will see of the 9 confirmed. Nonetheless, that wasn't all, because there was also before Evo, there was the Tekken demo came out, and one streamer, TL Joe Crush, is a tournament player in Tekken, was streaming, and so people managed to hack Tekken, and they've been finding ways to continue to play the demo, which of course the Namcops are not very happy about. So if you are, out there, just like with Street Fighter, you're not supposed to be accessing outside of the limited period of time. And
stop doing it.
So
legal.
Dude's streaming, and then Harada himself shows up in the chat.
Oh fuck!
And sees that Joe Crush is still playing. And he's like, the first thing he says is, "Hello, cracker," to which everyone's like, "Did Harada just call him a cracker?" Which, of course, he's referring to like using a crack to play the game. But here we are. And then everyone's like, "Okay, whatever." Rando is pretending to be Harada, and then he's like, "No." And then he continues to play, and he's the dude's training or whatever, and then like he goes, he's like, oh, like basically there's a whole thing where he's like, you should stop playing for to not confuse anybody or anything like this. You should stop playing immediately. And then he's like, all right, let me just do one more combo. Hold on, right? Let me just keep playing. Let me just go, whatever. And then people are like, it's a fake Harada, dude. It's not really him. And he's like, oh, you don't believe it's me? You want to see? Fine, then I will show you my power. And then he jumps on Twitter, and Harada tweets out from his account, TL Joe Crush, check this tweet, stop it or ban forever. And then dude's like, "Oh shit! Oh fuck! Okay, I was just messing around. I was just playing around." And then he quits. And then he quits out, right? And he leaves. And then it turns out that he was not a cracker. He was playing on PS5, and he was just in a training room that didn't get kicked out from the servers when the servers went down. So that happens in a couple of demos. Sometimes you get to stay inside because the message didn't pop for you. And so he had that, and it was not a cracked situation at all. But regardless, misunderstanding aside, like Harada was basically just like, to avoid confusion regardless, get out of the game now. But like it was completely not a cracked situation.
I love the feeling that you never get to get, which is just like, see you. Like he sees me.
He's right there.
Like he's here.
He's looking. Exactly. But the hilariousness of also being like, yeah, okay, man, hold on, one more combo. Let me just work this shit out, because he's playing Jack and he's trying to lab some shit. But that's fucking just like, oh my god, dude. It's not his fault that the servers didn't kick you out. If you're on PS5 and it just happens to work that way, then fucking that's the game's fault. That's the demo's fault for not working properly. Yeah,
Harada, it was your fault. You're the cracker.
Well, you can say it.
It was him.
Speaking of which, remember earlier you were talking about the funny racist moments.
Good times with racism, yes.
Yes, there was one that I read as well that was like a brown dude was what was it? I think he was like arguing with someone, or like he had with a teacher or something like that, and he's just like, "Okay, whatever, cracker." And then the dude replied, "Okay, whatever, graham cracker." And I was like, got him. Got him. It is. What are you going to say? You got to hold that. You got to hold that. As long as the
teachers within their faculties, these are people who are dealing with like just sass every day of their damn lives. The people with the proclivity are going to get the practiced.
If you come at me and I'm prepared with the rebuttal, you got to hold that shit, man. Tit for tat. Yeah, anyway. So that happened. And then the guy pulled the stream down. Other things that were going down. Killer Instinct announced a free 10th anniversary update this year, including a balance patch, improved matchmaking, and 4K support for the Xbox. So
that's crazy.
Fucking awesome. Considering the world we live in is not one where a brand new KI is going to be announced anytime soon.
That's true, you're right.
That's a really cool way to do it, is to just be like, yeah, let's just make sure the old one still works. Let's make sure you can still play it. It's a good-ass game. I'm still just amazed that, like, they're not... The servers are up, They didn't just pull a, like, sorry, let's get to the end of this game's life cycle. Like, they're still letting it happen. So, fuck yeah.
I feel like KI is, like, extra intimidating to get into. Like, a lot of characters, like, a lot of fighting games, like, you just don't get to play. Somebody stomps on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, somebody trying to play KI right now, it's just going to get rocked into, like, a fucking infinite combo. Like, it's not really infinite, but if you don't really understand how to get out of it, you're fucking done on hit one over and over.
If you fight somebody who's been beasting on this game for years, but if you get matched up with someone else who's new, you'll have a fairly normal experience with it. What ends up happening in most cases with beginners is like somebody learns how to recognize which button combo breaks a certain attack, and then you just wait to see that one, and then you break out of it. And like you kind of like you'll have normal like Street Fighter like matches going on, but like you learn in your head like to recognize one thing and break it, and then you start playing around combo breaking that one thing or counter breaking it. So yeah, KI coming back. I mean, in this instance, I wouldn't expect a new one. I feel like they're not going to throw the money for that out there, but to just keep it alive and keep it touched, and worked on is a super awesome announcement for it. So fuck yeah, good news there. Everyone, please get excited for Under Night in Birth 2 Cis Celeste, which I'm going to go ahead and try to call Unisys. We've had Unib, we've had Unist, we had Uniclear, so I guess Unisys is where we're at. It's got rollback, and it's coming out next year.
I have a beef to pick with this game. I have this game hurt my feelings.
Okay.
Because the tweet that I saw announcing it was the finale of the Hollow Knight is upon us. And I went, oh, so, oh, fuck. Fucking bullshit. In birth.
In
fucking
bass.
Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. You're in birth.
I got fucking mixed up by a fucking announcement.
Get mixed, idiot. That's great.
I did. I super did, man.
Well, somewhere else around the world, in fact, in Vegas, to counter that energy was a cheering Reggie who fucking loves Under Night. Super pop off for that. So I look forward to whatever new English will be dropping on that character select screen, and whatever new insane French bread round call we're gonna get. Hopefully, something referencing Michigan. And yeah, Project L, obviously, Yasuo, the Unforgiven, which is one of those ones where I want to see Yasuo from early on, and it's like, yeah, so does fucking everybody with eyeballs. He's a samurai.
He's the samurai.
Of course, they're gonna put the fucking samurai in it. He's the fighting game fucking thing ready.
Where's Teemo?
I don't know, but I have to assume soon. They have to come up with enough annoying things for him to do.
He's got
what's the
plenty.
Right? No, I know, but you have to convert those annoying things into fighting game logic.
Yeah, no, that character already exists. It's called Guilty Gear XX Testament.
Okay. Screen pollution, teleports.
Screen pollution, like Naoto. Like that zoning. Screen pollution nightmare shit.
Yep.
That's Teemo's thing all over.
Zoning, teleports, screen pollution, and I know that he's bomb based, right? He puts a bunch of bombs on shit. So yeah, tagging you with explosives and forcing. Yep, all of that. They gotta make it maximum annoying soon. Arakune was what I was actually gonna say. Yeah, I was thinking that's another.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Yasuo is cutting up the moon, and the game is gorgeous in person.
Yeah, it looks real nice.
It's super pretty, and his slashes are all really just like the animation is put into the particle effects on his slashes is smoother in animation than the characters are. In some cases, it's kind of incredible. And to that degree, we got to see some stuff we missed in the footage as well, like Echo hitting his super. The supers look really pretty, man. They're fucking gorgeous. Mm-hmm. So, like, when you hit a level 1, it's kind of just a quick in-game thing. But when you hit a level 2, it's like, yeah, you spent all your resources, you get a nice reward here. Cut the fucking moon in half, you know?
Why not?
And, yeah, seeing it in person as well, just the philosophy, as we were talking about last time, is in fact here. It is, you can play the game and do everything you want with the ease of one button. Therefore, the game itself is going to be fast and brutal. You know, they're not easing up on that in any way, shape, or form. And as we see, like, now that I'm seeing more of the team of people testing it, excuse me, the names that I'm seeing that are part of the crew are all these like high level players that are super all about that grimy mix up shit. So not just your Clockworks, Apology Man, Yohoshi, Nerd Josh, just people who are in there to make sure the game is grimy on offense. you know? And I'm like, I understand now. I can see the people that are in the ears of, you know, whispering, this is what you need to do, are the people who, like, are responsible for some of the dirtiest mix-ups in fighting game history. You know? And they're all there. Marlon Pie.
It's genius because the game is going to be free, so people will play it so they can make it as fucked up as they want.
Yeah,
because it's going to be the biggest, freest fighting game.
Yes, and there's probably going to be some Riot cash dropped in on that as well. It's going to be fun with the duos and bit, but there's also something that we do have to. It matters here, and it is that, like, with this, like, level of, like, basic control, but also high, like low floor, high ceiling, right? Low floor, high ceiling. I still believe in the rule of cool. Yeah. I still believe that, like, people who see cool shit are gonna be like, I want to do that cool shit. And even if you're not able to do a donguri fucking combo mad in Devil May Cry, you're gonna want to start doing it a little bit. You're gonna want to fuck around. You're gonna want to feel good, and you're gonna hit that first stylish combo and be like, yeah, that was awesome. Fuck yeah, Dante can do some wild shit. You know?
Yeah, man. If you ignore the rule of cool, that's how you get fucking Fantasy Strike. You're like, look, it's good for beginners, and beginners go, I don't want to play that. That shit looks lame.
You gotta like, you don't have to, but when people see something that looks, like, really complicated but is also really impressive, it absolutely sells the game. The Daigo full parry, Evo Moment 37, for people that, like, are like, that I can't ever imagine doing that, but holy fuck, I kind of want to play that game now because that's possible. You know, that's a thing. So this feels like what they're doing. They're making it easy to get into, and they're setting a bar here that's like, and you're going to see the best people at this game doing shit that's going to absolutely wipe the floor with you. But hopefully the system will be such that you probably won't run into that if you're playing online in a normal situation. Unless you are in a random tournament environment and you just get, like, unfairly or unluckily paired up with that on round one or something, you know. The skill gaps are going to be insane, but the journey is going to be the same for everybody, right? Looking good, looking real good. Can't wait to get my hands on it. Yeah, all right. Let's take some letters because my throat is starting to hurt.
No worries, man. Hey, if you want to send in a letter, send one into castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
Yes. Reptile got announced for Mortal Kombat 1. He's young, and all the ninjas are looking like these young, kind of like Malibu hot boys now, except for Ermac, who's a creepy old fucking dead face man.
I think that the story context of, like, Mortal Kombat 1 being like, Liu Kang made a better universe, and then some characters' backstories or, like, situations being still massively horrible and fucked up is like, Liu Kang, what are you doing?
Yeah, well, that's the twist is Liu Kang's an asshole.
Liu Kang, you seem like an idiot.
Spoiler alert, Liu Kang might be an asshole.
Oh, damn.
What's going on, bro? Yeah. Then Aki, we got to see a first look at her, not gameplay wise, but just a little introduction cutscene for her World Tour mode. And it just shows her being crazy and poisoning the main character and freaking the fuck out. So from what we can tell, obsessed with poison, femme fatale style, doing it wild. She looks like a mushroom. Her hair's like a mushroom. She's kind of crazy.
She loves murder.
She loves murder, big murder. I wish that she was an evil lady with a little more distinguishing crazy lady energy from Jury. There is a little bit of overlap in that. Yeah, it's just you just kind of like, if it's more of like, it doesn't have to be the same kind of flavor. It can be evil in a different demeanor, you know. But either way, as Sejam said correctly, no, you can't fix her. don't do
No,
it. You
you can't
deserve
fix
better," which is great. That's exactly verbatim what I said about Benedicta, mind you. So y'all need to stop.
And you didn't fix her at all.
No, no, you didn't. Yeah, the comics also that they gave out. There's a Street Fighter 6 comic that introduced her and showed off a couple things. So, one, she also has the poison slow ball that travels through midair. So it seems like the Fong techniques are going to be in play. So even if she's not completely a redo of Fong,
You do that Flappy Bird shit.
I don't know if she's going to do the Flappy Bird, but she's at least going to do the poisoning. Maybe there'll be a drive gauge poison, which is an insane thing. I don't know what's going to happen. And two, she's obsessed with Master. So I don't think it would be unreasonable to assume that she's also like obsessed with Fong, who probably taught her directly to be that way. We'll find out soon. More gameplay needs to be shown. They showed off the Ninja Turtle costumes, which at the moment I saw that, we heard the song playing, and I'm like, this is not Injustice. There's zero chance. We're going to see guest character dropping in between Rashid and Aki. And yes, it's World Tour costumes. So there they go. Great.
Insanely overpriced costumes.
Do whatever you want with the cosmetics. But yeah, they cost more than Rashid, actually. That's unnecessary, but when the game is not free, when the game is free, I get it if that's how you make your money, but when the game is not free, then it's like, let's be reasonable, guys. Come on. Not to mention you have to buy them individually. And then there was what was the other thing right after that? Turtles, Aki. Oh yes, the costumes. The awesome fucking outfits that are coming. So DJ looking like a proper dance hall star. The Marissa wedding dress is finally confirmed. Holy shit. You can't show that artwork and not make that available. That would be insane. It's such a good design in the first... When you get her to 100, you see the wedding dress, and you're like, there's no way you're not working on this, and thankfully they are. So... hard confirmed. That's the only outfit to ever choose from now on. Plus, there was the Kigurumi with Juri.
Yeah, that's perfect.
How to defeat the evil: grab the zipper and close it.
Just like that. You like that? That Juri PJ costume smells like shit.
Oh God, the worst.
It has never been washed.
Her room is fucking disgusting. Damn, bitch, you live like this? And then Guile, as he is getting his the artwork of him getting shaved with the hair down. Now he has the Guile hair in a ponytail. Looks cool as well. Ooh. So nice outfits coming to Street Fighter. So very cool there as well. Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising was a thing.
Anyway, back to emails.
If you've got a letter, you can send it to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. In fact, I would describe it as a thing that happened. Mark of the Wolves 2, City of the Wolves. We saw 2 seconds of it.
City of the Wharves.
City of the Wharves confirmed. Looks cool. Looks beautiful. I want to see more. It was the teasest tease. But when they're ready, I'm hoping for good things because between KOF 15 systems and the way Samsho was, I would like to see them having fun with a game that's not KOF and putting some attention to detail. And the Garo was the third strike for SNK, so if that's what we get this time around, this should be a fucking awesome just side fighter. Really, really looking forward to it. And whatever, continuing the Fatal Fury story, whatever that's gonna be. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I got a copy of the Guilty Gear board game. They were giving out free boxes Gotta check that out
There's
as well.
a board game?
Cool. There's a card game, board game thing they're working on. Looks cool. A thing that happened from Jack Stands as One says, "Dear once and future kings of Maddentown, it's probably most obviously a statement to say in some forms of media, be video games, movies, or anime, when there's things that are some things are good and some things are bad. Personal taste and a million variables can determine whether something is good or bad. But me and my friends have started labeling certain bits of media as a thing that happened, meaning it wasn't really good or bad. It just left no lasting impact on anyone or anything."
Mm-hmm.
In our opinion, some examples: the Street Fighter EX series. Now, EX plus Alpha and EX2 had some good shit in it, but
whatever you say, man.
There was some fun.
The average person,
but then you have to take in the rest of it as the whole franchise. If you're gonna grab one and you're gonna grab three, so then you just flatten it out.
I would absolutely describe the EX series as a thing that just occurred.
Mm-hmm. Live action Disney remakes.
Yeah,
haven't seen any.
Oh, they're fucking terrible.
Are they terrible or are they mid?
They're terrible with a lot of production.
Okay.
So it climbs up to mid.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just telling you, like there's EX plus Alpha fans out there that like fucking compete.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There's anyway. All right.
I'm sure one of them is here to talk to us right now. What do you say, EX Alpha fan? Wow, that's great. Darun, huh? He is cool.
Darun, Mister Area. Doctrine Dark. Most Smash clones, PlayStation All Stars, Multiversus, etc. So you have to kind of I guess if you when you're averaging out, right? Because Slap City was great. Multiversus was one of the better ones. PlayStation All Stars maybe not so much. I know there's people that go hard on it, but no. And then there was like a couple of them. I mean, there was like the Ninja Turtle Smash Up where you're like, okay, you did some stuff here. But then there's Rivals of Aether, which is amazing. And then there's Icons, which was not so much. And then there's that other one that I always forget that was on Switch. And then there's the Brawlhalla. And you're just like, all right, yeah, I guess when you just look at them as a whole. Most Castlevania games past 4.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Throw this email in the fucking garbage.
That's not what I hear.
Delete it. Delete it now.
A lot of people have a lot of good things to say about games that are after that one. So, all right.
This is a fake email.
Street Fighter V. This is actually a fierce debate whether or not this belongs here. Again, if you're averaging, right? Because the state it ended in is the best version of it. But does that take the net average of the way it launched and most of its life cycle above mid? No, it doesn't. It means that they took a bad game and made it better. The Overwatch 2 porn debacle, when Blizzard tried to prevent Overwatch porn from happening by locking their models in the game, and then fans made their own models from scratch within the week.
I did not know that. That's really funny.
That's actually aggressively awesome. So no, fuck you on that one. That's the best shit ever. You can't stop that. Anyway, and many more. So yeah, those examples are mid in and of themselves, I think. Had us in the first half, not gonna lie.
I'm actually pretty miffed about that Castlevania thing. I usually don't get upset when people have bad opinions, but that's such a stupid fake opinion that no one would have.
Because that basically means any of the games that Kojima art was applied to, right? Any blank of the blank games just get deleted if you delete everything after 4. Am I correct?
I can't even hear you. I'm just sitting here thinking about what kind of stupid liar would look at someone and say they didn't like any Castlevania game after 4. Like, I can't even imagine someone having that opinion. It must be someone lying to make people mad.
I said like any Castlevania game with an "of" in the title gets deleted by that list. Okay. Here's one coming in from George, who says, "Dear Han and shitass, as a fellow mid to late 30s person raised on movies and basic cable, I remember substitution swears on TV edits being a sore spot for me. But as I've gotten older, I've grown to appreciate the ridiculousness of them, like Neo getting the probe removed from him in The Matrix and yelling 'Jeepers Creepers' in an obvious overdub. There are even rare occasions where
I love that shit.
I feel like it adds to the scene. My favorite is Big Lebowski, when the cabbie driving the dude loses his shit at the dude, saying he doesn't like the Eagles. Every instance of the word fucking, the driver has replaced with peaceful, so you end up with a guy furiously yelling at a hungover man, yelling, 'Get the hell out of my peaceful cab,' when all he did was calmly ask to change the music."
This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps. It's also from Big Lebowski.
I am sick and tired with these no, God. Was it Monday to Friday snakes? No, this I forgot what the first one was. It was something on this Monday to Friday plane. Yeah.
I think my all-time favorite.
I'm sick of these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
I think my favorite of all time is Yippee-Ki-Yay, Mr. Falcon from Die Hard 2. And it's like, how do you... Like, it doesn't even... like, there's no one named Mr. Falcon in the fucking movie. Like, it's just... it's just a fake thing.
No, there is something to be appreciated about this. And they'll never happen again, because why censor movies for TV that no one's watching? So, unless they start doing Netflix edits of movies to be the TV version of it. I also remember when they would do things like visually, like in Mrs. Doubtfire, when he flips the bird after like the new husband comes in and they take the kids and leave. And it just like, he's like waving, you know, whatever. And then it just cuts to a close up of him just going, And then like it gets grainier too. And then he just kind of turns and walks away. And you're like, so he was just waving and then he just went, like, what? And it's like, because they cropped out the middle finger, you know? So, yeah, that shit was...
Like, we got to figure out a way to get this goddamn feature film from 5 years ago on at 1 p.m. on a Sunday on Fox Buffalo. You just cut whatever the fuck you need to cut. Have some fucking guy dub it over. I don't give a shit.
All right, and let's take one last one over here.
Hey, do you remember how fucking nefarious those candies that look like cigarettes were?
Oh yeah, in fact, I used to buy a box of chocolate cigarettes.
What the fuck was that?
It was a box of chocolate cigarettes for children to practice their smoking, so that they could then get in on the habit as soon as they were allowed to, or even earlier than that, if they had the money and the right person to convince. Bunch of 12-year-olds standing outside of the dep, going, "Hey, mister, go in there, get us a pack. You can keep the change." Right?
That's fucked up.
And you're like, does he look scummy enough? All right, fuck it. Or guy goes in, buys the pack, and keeps the change. And it's like, well, what are you gonna do? Or guy goes in and just keeps the money and doesn't give him the pack or whatever. Because what are you gonna do? Yeah, but yeah. Which then flavored vapes is all the shit now. But anyways. Last one coming in from Relum80, who says,
"Hey man,
greetings, Punch Priest and Goblin Wrangler. In the last podcast, Willie described how his friend completely ruined his understanding of wisdom versus intelligence.
That is wild. Your friend is a stupid asshole in that story. It's crazy.
I also kind of remember anyway, whatever. I vaguely recall him being like intelligence is almost like intuition in sorts in some ways, but it's like it's not at all. Whatever. So years ago, I saw the tomato-based explanation. Strength is being able to crush a tomato. Dexterity is being able to dodge a tomato. Constitution is being able to eat a bad tomato. Intelligence is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put a tomato in a fruit salad. And charisma is being able to sell a tomato-based fruit salad. I learned the difference between wisdom and an int with the old man is wise because of his life experiences. The student is intelligent because he studies. I hope everyone is having an amazing trip through Faerun. Pour one
Faerun.
out. A little mead for us with a beefy PC or PS5 as we live vicariously through you both. So I think for what it's worth, the reason why that my first D&D campaign understanding, well, the reason why that stuck with me is because it is closer to real life than the game mechanic version of things, right? Like, I get it that it's like, what a backwards, stupid way to understand the rule set of D&D. But the thing is, when you, like, and I saw lots of people debating this back and forth this week, and there's a whole thing. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, in real life, wisdom is accumulated knowledge. You've lived long enough, so you've seen it before, is kind of the idea. Whereas in D&D, it's more intuitive, and it's governing things like perception, right? Awareness. So there was someone was pointing out, it's like wise old men that are wise then gain perception and awareness as they get older, right? Like, you know, so it's like it's a bit of a like, right, okay, that's your understanding is a little different there. And then in real life intelligence, the way we use it casually tends to be like you refer to someone as intelligent in terms of like their natural intuition and inherent problem solving ability, you know? Whereas here,
well, I can't understand a fucking thing you're saying. I'm so baffled by this entire conversation. I don't get, what are you talking about?
All right, let me back it up. When someone outside of D&D refers to wisdom, they usually talk about like a wise old man.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thought is that like that wise old man grew wise through his years, through like he's learned things, he's acquired knowledge over time, and that's where the wisdom comes from the years of, you know, experience that he's had. And when you think about someone as being intelligent, you often refer to that as like, oh, that's a smart, intelligent person who's able to kind of intuit things, and that it's not. And so, like, it's more of it's an inherent trait to that person, is how we casually refer to these two words.
I always interpret it as intelligence is the ability to acquire knowledge quickly, and wisdom is the ability to apply existing knowledge correctly.
Huh. Okay. In most of my life, I feel like I haven't heard it used that way. I feel like people refer to people as intelligent when you're talking about like almost like just, you know, again, their ability to intuit things correctly, problem solve because they have that skill. That is a part of their traits. And then wisdom is what you acquire over time, hence wise old people having lots of wisdom, sage old wisdom that comes from being learned. But it turns out it's the other way around in a D&D context. That's sort of why that stuck with me. Incorrect though as it was, right? That's essentially all I'm trying to get at. I
can kind of see it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't gel with my personal perception that I've had since I was a kid, so I'm having like a really hard time.
I get that,
grasping it.
And for most people who know D&D inside out, and this is just the way it's always been, I get that it's like that sounds super off. But I'm just like, if you just think about it outside of a D&D context, this is what it's been like for casual usage of these words for me. So that's why I thought, especially anyway, yeah, whatever. All right, you get it.
Wisdom, intelligence is knowing every optimal combo. Wisdom is knowing when it's better to go for the reset instead. Love it.
Nice.
And then charisma is convincing everyone you intended to go for the reset and you didn't actually just drop your combo. No, I meant to do that.
Yeah,
that was on purpose.
Yeah. I am curious if you're somebody who thinks that none of that makes sense. Like, does the term "wise old man" like have a different interpretation? You know, like I'm curious how you parse that and not get the learned old wise sage wisdom thing together. But I do like the tomato explanation of stats. That works out pretty well. And does do any different systems where, like, you know how there's like the different universes of Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms and stuff, do they all have the same core stats, or do they ever like
the vast majority, even stats, even stat blocks that exist outside of that realm still are like heavily informed by the D&D stat block.
I remember when I think it was 3rd edition was what my friend was playing with, and like the character sheet had the main stats and then it had all the extra numbers, you know, so it was like the grid of numbers for specific sub things to roll. And
so
then,
like even Fallout, which uses the GURP system, uses special, right? But special is just strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck, right? It has more, but like most of those just go 1-to-1 on an existing D&D stat sheet, right?
And I also remember when there was like, before I guess they officially simplified all the numbers into something simpler, shorter. There's like these side campaigns, because I bought a book for Trigun that was a Trigun like besom system, big eyes, small mouth, anime tabletop, you know, and shit like that. And there's all these variations, but there were variations that were trying to remix the D&D rules to be easier to do, so that you'd have a smaller character sheet that was more universally applicable, you know. Interesting.
Yeah, and like I'm looking at Pillars now, which was like explicitly built off the bones of the old one, and you still have Might, Constitution, Dex, Perception, Intellect, and Resolve. They wanted to have Might as its own category so that player damage was disassociated from any of the other stats. But like, it's all variations on a theme.
Interesting. Now let's design a system where all of these stats talk to you, because you're fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's all. That's never going to happen ever again. That's
so
never going to happen
so
ever
good.
Again.
Oh, it's just the best thing in the world. All right, we're out of here.
All right, y'all have a good night. It was week, whatever. Go to bed.
I'll see you next week.